one. Natalie. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, it's good to see you.
Likewise, I love being here.
You know what? It's funny because I'm glad you reached out. Because I was thinking about inviting you back on. Because the two times that we've done this, obviously Gabby was with you. But I was like, no, I still want to do one with her too. I'll reach out to her eventually. But I've just been so fucking lazy, man. And I have been. Like, because I'm so used to being like scheduled out for not days, for like months at a time. And just recently I've just been, yeah, I'll figure it out. We'll get to it. And then thankfully I've been getting by on my bookings. But yeah, it's good to have you. How's life?
It's going good. It's going real good. There's a lot of exciting things going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been good, but it's been busy.
Good. Yeah, good. We were just talking about this before the show. I'm thankful. I'll just put it out there first. Like I said on my live episode yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm very thankful for social media finally like going that way, but I feel like such a bitch doing it. Like before you showed up, so I was getting like all my stuff together and I'd finished up like my day job. And I was like, okay, I know what video I want to put up today. I have 30 minutes until Natalie gets here. I need to like fucking, and I can't, because I know how loud my voice is. I can't be like in my living room shooting the video and you're on the other end of the door hearing me yell about Epstein. Because I know we've known each other long enough now that you'll get it. But you know, I don't want to put you through that. So I'm like, how long, when you're shooting some kind of video or like editing a video for yourself, how many takes does it take for you to get it right?
So I'm in a part of my social media journey where I call it raw dogging my content.
Okay.
Where I literally do one take and it is what it is and it's getting posted.
Even if you like fuck up a word or you're like
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's, you know, because like with my nutrition business,
Plug that, by the way, so people can check that out. What is it on Instagram?
Well, I mean, it's just
it's
nutrition
all
with
in your
Nat.
stuff. Okay,
or no,
right.
Wait. It's Nat Coaches on Instagram. Sorry, I was saying my LLC. I was like, oh, my LLC is nutrition with Nat. No, Instagram is Nat Coaches if you need recipes and nutrition stuff.
She's very talented. Very good.
Thank you. But in order to grow that business, I invested into a mentorship, and they require at minimum 5 posts a week, and they have to fit into certain types of criteria like value, post, vulnerability, victory, vision, virality. Like it's this whole method and structure. You essentially, when you use social media to promote your business, you're not just a content creator, you're marketing. And so like there was all these freaking, bullet points that I had to check off every time I'd make a piece of content. And I got to a point in my journey, whether it was just like I became confident enough in managing my business in different ways that wasn't purely reliable on social media.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, I can't fucking keep up with this. Like I got to the point where I was posting like not including stories or stuff 7 times a week following their like explicit blueprint.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So, okay. I get very cautious and I want to bully people that say that they're like a mentor of some kind for any type of like, you need mentorships with like blue collar jobs. Okay. You need to be an apprentice if you want to be a good tattoo artist, right? That makes sense. Really hands on, whatever. Social media is not tangible, in my opinion. It's really not. And anyone who says that they have like, you can understand things. I think you can understand like, okay, this is how you read the analytics that Instagram or whatever gives you. That's real. But like, you can't teach someone how to go viral.
I mean, yes and no.
I don't think you can.
There are things that you can do to help the chances of going viral, but in the sense of like the mentorship I'm in, it's not for social media. It's for business, of how to run a business.
Okay, good.
I don't know how to run a business.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I know how to run a business now. At the time when I invested, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Snake oil salesman got you with we can make you go. I was like, Natalie, no.
I don't care about like, and I know this might sound like, oh, everybody says this is on social media. Like, I really don't care about going viral because as you're experiencing right now, with more followers and more views on your videos, you have to upkeep that more if you want to keep that momentum. And I'm at a place in my life right now where social media to me just isn't as important as it was when I was building the business. Because the mentorship I'm in, they teach you, because it's all for online fitness and nutrition.
Right.
And so for all of those businesses, social media marketing is one of the main ways that you drive leads into your funnel for business. So there is a part of the mentorship that talks about like how to help with social media to like get more views or audience or get people into buyers from your social media page. So like there's like this whole strategy to it. And it would just like took so much out of me to do that for, I think I tried it for like a year and a half of doing it straight, where I was like following their blueprint and stuff. And there was a lot of positive outcome with it, but ultimately my business at least does better with referrals or through like live events. So like last year I started doing a lot of live events where I would teach on certain topics, things like that. And that always generated clients.
Improvised Intelligence is sponsored by the amazing people over at Chopped Chili. If you've been a long time listener to the podcast, you know that this is my favorite brand of chili here in New Mexico. Pretty much put it on every meal that I can. They've got red chili, green chili. My personal favorite is this blend of the red and the green. I think this stuff is phenomenal. They also have frozen bags of green chili that you can order directly from their website at choppedchilico.com. You can also find them in stores around the state of New Mexico at Sprouts, Albertsons, Farmers Country Market, John Brooks, Keller's Farm Store, Lowe's Market. You can also find them in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Hobbs, Gallup, Tucumcari, and for all my friends in Texas, they are in El Paso. Again, choppedchilico.com. Go get yourself some amazing chili. Now back to the podcast.
Was that like the Explorer thing that you were doing last year?
Kind of, yeah. The Explorer, and then I joined the Hispano Chamber of Commerce.
The what now?
It's like a business help thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's a so if people from that are watching it, sorry that I'm not explaining this well. It's like essentially a group of people that I feel like this is going to come out sounding culty. Like it's like a group of people that just get together who own businesses or, you know, are high up in businesses, and you just help each other through, you know, networking, through like classes and stuff like that. So like last year with my membership to them, I learned how to do like procurement contracts or stuff if I want to pursue that. So like, you know, going to Nusenda and like being their nutritionist for their employees who, you know, it's part of like their health benefit package.
I was going to ask, so that was get put into the interesting.
So it's been really helpful because like my thing when I started realizing that I don't really like social media, or at least for marketing, and I spend way too much freaking time on social media. Yeah. I was like, okay, I kind of want to strategize different ways to generate, you know, leads to the business and stuff. And and also like a lot of people in my mentorship were dealing with like losing their Instagram accounts and losing their TikTok accounts and all these things. I'm like, well, if I lose my Instagram account, I'm fucked. Like,
what
that's
are the
only
reasons
way.
that you were finding that people were losing their Instagram accounts? Because I
Honestly,
think that's
I have
very
no
interesting.
idea. I don't know. They were just like posting like, oh, I've been locked out and I don't know what I did. And, you know, I mean, like, I feel like a lot of times they don't really explain well, like the platforms. Like, this is kind of different, but I've been banned from Facebook Marketplace for like the past 4 years, and I have no clue why. Like, I barely even, like, when we were moving houses, I used it to sell like furniture and stuff, but I didn't sell anything like illegal or violated anything, but I can't access Marketplace. And they never sent me a thing about why. It's just like, if I try to go into it, a little thing pops up that's like, you do not have approval to use Facebook Marketplace. You've violated our things. I'm like, what the fuck? I literally sold like a couch and chairs and a table. Like, what did I? So I don't know.
They fucking cut open the couch. There's kilos in there. Like,
okay, well, then that wasn't my couch. I didn't buy that couch. I was in the house. So I don't know like what got them like their accounts locked. But when that happened, I was like, well, right now, the only way I have of generating business is through social media. And if my account gets locked, I'm fucked.
Right.
So I was thinking of ways to like, okay, how do I essentially market my business to people in person? And so that's why I joined the commerce, because they have a bunch of like biz gratis, which is literally just like parties for people to get together who are in business and like talk about their business and what they do, and while they get fed hoarders and drinks. But
look at you knowing French.
Hoarders. I'm a cultured woman. And so I joined that because I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, they help with like, you know, getting you booked for commercials or, you know, marketing events or, you know, getting booked on whatever. Cause I wanted to kind of try out a different business model, at least in the sense of gaining clients, where it's like, okay, if I do in-person things, does that yield a better percentage of clients coming into program? And so did Explore for a while. That was separate outside the Chamber of Commerce. My tattoo artist, his wife manages it. And so he gave me connections so that
Interesting.
I could get booked for the adult night.
I
So
might.
shout out.
I'll look at, because I've been to Explora in fucking what, I'm 28 now. It's been probably 20 years since I've been to Explora. I'm gonna do a little looking into this, see what they're doing these days. I might ask you a little bit for that contact because that's interesting.
Yeah, no, they're fun. That didn't really generate a lot of business. I mean, it was fun to like get out there, get exposure. It was really fun for me because with the Explore Adult Nights, it has to be hands-on learning. So trying to teach hands-on nutrition learning was like a fun challenge.
What'd you end up doing?
So one of the times, it was all about like, it was the first time I did it, it was all around the Olympics. And so their adult night was Olympic themed where like you had to play athletic games or whatever. And so I had a booth there and I essentially got like the special sand, the like what is it fucking called? Magic sand? It sings for kids. It like kinetic
Play-Doh?
sand? No, it's not Play-Doh. Moon sand? Moon sand.
I have no
I don't know
idea.
if you ever played, but it's so cool. It feels so great. But basically, I had like 3 different containers of moon sand, and one was red, one was blue, and one was yellow. And I made up these like big printable graphics talking about like how food is utilized in muscle mass development. You know, how you should eat for sports training. You know, just kind of info like that. And then when people would come by, I, you know, would have them take some of the red moon sand and like make it into a ball, and then I'd have them, you know, put external force on it, which is what we do when we strength train or weightlift or stuff. And then when you put that external force onto the muscle or the moon sand, it got all these little cracks in it, which is what happens when, you know, we strength train anyways, our little muscle fibers get tears in them. And then I had them, you know, get some blue sand, which was water, yellow sand, which was food, and I had them add it to their cracked red sand and then kind of roll it together. And so that was just a visual representation of like, if you eat enough food and you drink enough water after training, your muscle gets bigger and stronger, those cracks fill in. So like that was one of them. I think I did Explore maybe 4 times, but it was fun. And now I have all these materials. So like, you know, if I get booked for like grand openings for places sometimes as like a vendor, or like I also, you know, if people are having like a health related event, I get booked as a vendor, and so I'll bring those things.
Wait, what do you mean a health related event?
Well, like oh my God, why is my brain not working today? What is that restaurant called? Two Cranes. Last summer.
Oh, shout out Two Cranes, where we did our show at. They've been very good to us.
Yeah, I love Two Cranes.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they had a yoga health and wellness event where they had like a Pilates class going on, and then there was just a bunch of local vendors. So I was there with my little sand example. That one's the best one. That one has the most like interaction with it. People like to play with the sand. It feels cool. You should definitely. I'm gonna buy you some moon sand for your birthday or something. And, you know, so like events like that, or like for a while, I kind of partnered with sports and wellness where they would have like events where, once again, local health related vendors would come in and members could talk to us and stuff. And same thing, I brought my sand. So yeah, so things like that. And, you know, found out that I actually have a better conversion rate of people who apply to program from live events that actually convert to clients versus social media. Like people will fill out applications, but then they don't always.
Well, because it's like flashy, like is it like ad based on social media, or they find you in the algorithm, or?
I think maybe algorithm. I don't run ads on social media.
Okay.
And so I think, well, I mean, like I run ads in my story where it's like me being like, "Hey, I'm having a sale going on," you know, like, but I don't pay for ads.
How come?
Because I don't want to.
Oh, fair enough. No, I mean, fair enough.
It's just like in my thing, I feel like. So this is gonna sound a little cheesy, but hear me out. I was taught this, and I believe in it too, that like we're not necessarily in a financial recession, but we're in a trust recession, at least in the health and fitness industry.
We're in everything.
Yeah,
in literally everything.
Yeah.
Like I was just talking to the mayor of Rio Rancho. That episode comes out in a few hours. Yeah, very good guy. Mm-hmm. Greg Holt, great guy. Vote for him.
Yeah, we like him.
I think he'd be a pretty good governor. I think. But I don't trust any of these fuckers. And I led with that in the conversation. And we were talking about some road bond like 12 years ago that came up where they were like, he got into office and he got a plan together and he was as the mayor and he was like, all right, well, we're going to do X, Y, and Z to be able to fill in these potholes and to fix these roads that never been really fixed before because Rio Rancho is so new and blah, 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 blah. And everyone voted no. So they didn't get the money. So he had to like regroup and basically hold all these like town hall type things with the citizens. Be like, hey, listen, like we need you guys to vote yes because we have this plan. It's going to work, and just trust us. And I brought that up. I was like, well, can you blame them for voting no? Because you were basically asking for more tax money. And they're like, no, nothing works in government. And certainly that's escalated in the last 12 to 14 years. So I know I can. That's not cheesy at all. We are. I mean, Nevin from the Sons of Harvard. He came over last night, I think, 2 nights ago. I don't know, one of those two. And I was giving him some like soundproofing stuff. And we were just hanging out, having a couple of beers, and we were talking about how, like, well, we're certainly never voting. Like, I've never voted Democrat, but like, there's no fucking way I'm voting Democrat ever. And then with the rate this is going, I'm never going to vote Republican again. So when 2028 comes around, probably just not going to fucking vote. And I think that sentiment is just growing. So that's everywhere for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you think about it, like if you go back to 2018, 2016, if you had abs or were relatively fit, you could just post a picture and be like, join my coaching program, and people are like, oh shit, she's got abs, I'll join. Granted, I wasn't in the health industry at that point, but and now it's like there's been people who like study social media and like the buying rate and stuff like that, and it's like people need to consume like 7 hours worth of your content before they trust you to buy from you. Or they can come to my live event, spend an hour with me where I get real vulnerable about whatever topic they want or, whatnot. And I think it's just like, it's a better human connection in that aspect, because with social media, our attention span fucking sucks. Yeah. So like if I want to get like vulnerable on social media about, eating disorders or whatever, people aren't going to watch. They're going to scroll like within 3 seconds, unless it like applies to them and there's someone who has been watching a lot of my stuff and they're like, oh, I like what she has to say, I'm going to sit for the full 2 minutes of her.
To be vulnerable on social media and maintain attention, you have to be like with no legs, one arm, in a wheelchair with a breathing. You have to be in the most worst condition possible for anyone to give a fuck. Let's be honest. And most people, again, going back to the whole trust thing, listen, if you, this is going to sound horrible, but bear with me. If you get your phone, first of all, if you get your phone, you shove it in your face, you start talking, you're gay. And I'm gay for that. I am. It's very faggy. But if you do that intentionally and you start crying for a reel or a story post about how important this thing is to you, there's something wrong with you. I really think so. There is something where it's like, why are you like we were saying before the episode, I think it is a form of public humiliation. I think it is a humiliation ritual to do that to get followers. I think it is. And for people to do that for attention and I think that does something to your brain. I think it rewires the brain if you do, especially if you get a positive reaction out of that. Because we were just talking about it earlier. It's like, okay, well, people are responding to the Epstein stuff, so I'm going to post more about the Epstein stuff where I find funny things. Because I've been staying up till ungodly nights or hours in the night reading these files, and because with these ones you can download chunks of them, but you have to like search like keywords, and I'm just reading horrific fucking things. I'm just like, all right, well, I'm not going to make a joke about these toddlers getting fucking potentially eaten, but definitely like assaulted. I'm not gonna make jokes about that. That's horrible. But like, there's something in here that's funny, I'm sure. So I'll find that. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I don't know. I just think that like there's something where it's like if I'm getting a positive reaction, that's where I was going. So if you're getting a positive reaction out of constantly being extremely vulnerable to strangers over and over and over, then that's telling your brain that that's what you have to do to get the reactions and to get the outcomes that you want. That can't be healthy. Because it's all going to go away. Like, I know this huge pop that I'm going through right now is going to go away. It is. I don't know if it's going to go away today, tomorrow, a week, but I'm mentally preparing for that so I don't fucking expect these things that I'm getting. But if you're doing that based off of extremely important and intimate parts of your life, if you're not mentally prepared or mentally fortified enough, that's going to fucking destroy people. Back in, do you remember, it was like 2021, I want to say? Yeah. When the Facebook whistleblower came out and she was talking about how Facebook is stealing all the data and this is what they're doing with it. And it was a blonde lady, I forget her name, but she worked like high up at Meta, and she exposed all these things that Meta was doing with data. And then like it never got any reporting, but in the congressional hearing, she goes, oh yeah, Facebook and Instagram, well, Instagram specifically, has data where they're tracking how the platform is affecting young women between the ages of 13 and 22, I think. 21. It was like a younger age group, but it was affecting them and specifically driving up the rates of anorexia. Like they had data that could prove that, and they were just doing nothing about it. And of course, it got like no, media attention because you can't do that. And it's just shit like that. And I'm like, this can't be good. It's much better suited for in person, like
Yeah.
like
Where people like aren't, because I mean, even if someone does, like, let's say you do make a vulnerable post about anorexia or something, and even if someone does sit through and watch that, the chances of them like vocalizing their troubles with it too on a public platform,
it's not going to happen.
Slim. Whereas like, with these in-person events, like I did one, what month are we in? We're in February now. In January, like a few weeks ago, where it was talking about, the negative feedback loop that our brain has around why we don't stick with New Year's resolutions and like how to actually set goals that are obtainable and doable and not extreme and stuff. And, I think I had like 23 people show up for that. And it was just like, it's really, for me, it's very fulfilling and rewarding to, one, have those people make time out of their day. And, a lot of them I don't know, like make time out of their day to come out, drive to this place. And it was at the end of, it was on like a Tuesday night at 6 p.m.
Where was it
like,
at?
It was at Co-Creations Candle Bar. It's down by Sawmill. Like, do you know where Ponderosa is? Oh, yeah. It's really cool. They sell candles.
Neat.
It's really cool. The owner, her name's Terry. I met her through the Chamber of Commerce, and most of my, because I'm a pretty frequent book speaker for the One Mind, One Body committee that's part of the Chamber of Commerce, which is all about health and wellness. So usually I think this was like my third or fourth time speaking for them. And so she uses, she's like the chair or co-chair of that committee. So we tend to use her candle place,
Interesting.
for it. And yeah, so like, most of the people that showed up didn't know. And it was, Tuesday after work, 6 p.m., in a busy part of town where construction is, because it's by Sawmill and that whole place is getting fucked with construction right now. And, the fact that they all showed up to listen to me speak and hopefully offer a solution to a problem they have is like,
asses in seats
really,
is hard.
Yeah, really rewarding. And, not only that, but like just being able to connect with people because, we've kind of talked about this before on the other podcasts and stuff, but I take a very like nutrition, food, and eating is a very complex system, specifically for women too. I mean, yeah, a lot of men also, have their problems with food and stuff, but since I primarily work with women, I see it with women more so.
Right.
So it might just be that kind of like horse blinder thing where it's like women have these struggles with food, but there's just so much like emotion, back history, things like that go into your eating, your food, your choices around food, if you use food for comfort or for stress management or things like that. And so being able to, after I give my whole spiel, and then they're hanging out afterwards, like being able to connect with them on like a one-on-one and, just give them space to talk about whatever issues they're having, is to me more rewarding in that sense than social media. Yeah. So that's definitely why I've reduced, at least this year, I told myself that for 2025, I'd follow the whole marketing thing that my mentorship tells me that I should do. And then when 2026 came around, or towards the end of 2025, I decided that like, what, I want to pursue more like in-person events, more live things, and also just to get me out of the house more. Like working from home, I know you've been working from home since September. I've been working from home for 3 years now. And at some point it gets so isolating and I'm just like, there's some days where I'm like, oh, it's 5 p.m. and I haven't been outside today. Like I need to
love it. Personally, I love it.
There's a lot that I love about it. There's also some stuff where I'm just like, this is like, I need to get out of my house. Like I love my house. I'm very fortunate for the house I have and like the home office and all that stuff. And that I get to be home with like my dogs all day and I have so much flexibility in my schedule and I get to make my own schedule. But sometimes it's weird saying this because I am like an introverted person, it like sometimes I miss just human connection. I'm like, I need to go socialize. Or,
Well, I mean, we're social animals.
Yeah.
And there is something to, I mean, 9 to 5 in offices that there are clear downfalls to it, but a part of it that isn't really highlighted is that you are interacting with other humans all day. You're having human interaction, even though it's very, on the surface, whatever, which is where it should be, in my opinion, for an office. But, there is something to that. I get it. But then maybe, my position is kind of skewed just because I do have to go out and, like I said, like check the sites that I manage. And then I do stand-up. So I go to open mics and I go to shows and all that type of shit. But, like, yeah, I like being home, dude. Like, I had a conversation with do you know Joey, one of my old roommates, one of my good buddies? Did you ever meet Joey?
I don't
You
think
came
so.
to the podcast? So, good guy. We were having a conversation a couple of years ago about, like, being home a lot. And because I guess he had gotten into an argument with his girlfriend or whatever about why he was home a bunch. And he was like, and I have yet to find a better explanation. And he goes, this is my most expensive subscription service. I'm going to fucking use it.
No, that's a good analogy. I like
am
that.
going to use it. I spend over $1,000 a month. I'm going to be home.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's a good, I like that analogy. Yeah.
So, but I get it. I mean, I totally get it. So you are completely right about the women interaction with food thing. I want to dig into that a little bit. I know we have before, but I want to dig into that some more. I think it's important. Because there's a lot of like, how do you? Okay, I'll start here actually, because you actually have credibility with what you're talking about. Like, you've been through some shit.
Yeah.
You've been through some nonsense. Like, going back, we don't have to rehash all of it. We've already been over it. Other episodes are great on it.
Look at the other episodes.
Yeah, for real, they're good. With like specifically with your experiences doing bodybuilding and the fucking retard coaches that you had, and like the salmon all day every day, and and I get it. Like, with bodybuilding, you do have to starve yourself, and you do like that is a necessity. That's a necessary evil to get to the outcome that you need. Because you have to do that. But you have real life experiences and credibility and I'm sure that when you're speaking to women in these live events, part of that comes up and you have to talk about that kind of stuff. How do you speak to people, whether it's in a group setting or if it's one-on-one? How do you navigate conversations around how to see and view food? Because I'd imagine, again, I'm not a woman, but like with it's 2020, so you got to say these things out loud, We'll see what tomorrow comes, but for now, I'm a man, and it's there's always has been, but a lot of societal pressure with women and how you look, what you eat, how you eat, that kind of thing, and because I don't know, like. People shouldn't be judged for what they eat. I agree with that. But then on the other hand, like it's a very extreme. I get that. But on the other very much extreme side of the spectrum, it's, from my point of view, I think the body positivity movement has done a lot of damage to a lot of people. And so how do you navigate those conversations where you want people to feel confident with working with you and that you're going to get them to a positive outcome? Because you obviously don't want people to be unhealthy. Mm-hmm. And anybody who's conscious of these things don't want anybody to be unhealthy, let alone themselves. But then also when it transfers from meeting them for the first time to potentially working with them, keeping them on decent guardrails. How do you navigate those conversations?
I mean, a lot of it kind of depends on the person, what they're trying to accomplish, their history of food, all those things. I mean, it's definitely tailored to them specific, at least on the one-on-one side. When it comes to group things, I tend to like to disarm them a little bit by first talking about my own eating disorder and my own like experience with food and all my issues I've had with food in the past, to kind of like relate to them that, hey, I'm opening up about the shit I've dealt with it. So if this is, a place where you want to talk about it, whether it's, during the question and answer part or afterwards one-on-one, like, I like to believe that hearing, she's been through it too, she's lived it, she's come out on the other side, I feel comfortable and safe talking to her about my problems with food. So I first kind of like to, like I said, disarm them by kind of bringing up, my history with food and kind of doing it in a, at least in a way I think is funny, kind of joking about it. And then it kind of, like I said, it kind of boils down to what specific problems they're having with food and with their food choices and, things like that. A lot of the women I work with, I mean, you're completely spot on the whole like societal thing and stuff. A lot of the women I work with are kind of in the age range of like 25 to 40, where during, early years, it was all in magazines, TV, movies, all that stuff about how like women need to be skinny and how women, need to eat a certain amount of food and how women need to look a certain way and all this stuff. And I definitely think in kind of the same way like social media is messing with our brains now in a different way, all of that, marketing, whether it was through movies, through TV, through magazines, things like that, that it definitely changed how we perceived ourselves. And, if we read, like, think about it, White Chicks, the scene where they're in the dressing room and the girl's like trying on some clothing and she's like, looking really healthy and stuff. And she's like having a mental breakdown and she's like, oh, it's Tina the talking tummy and like throw this whale back into the ocean, all that stuff. It's like, yes, it's funny, but at the same time, as a young, impressionable female, we're watching that and we look at that and we're like, wait, she's fat? And then we kind of look at ourselves and we're like, well, I'm bigger than she is. So like, fuck, like I need to start eating less or something. And then you go into like the 17 magazine and it's got like the top 10 diets to lose 10 pounds or whatever. And it's all fucking bullshit diets where it's like, go outside, photosynthesize, lose 10 pounds. And it's like,
it might as well be just take a hatchet and fucking cut off your stomach.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like, that's the type, and thankfully, we've been kind of moving away from that. I feel like in the past 10 years where a lot of messaging for the most part is around like women should lift weights, women should eat more food, like women, I think we're finally kind of turning a path there. But for that period of time where, skinny was popular and, being skinny was the end goal and, all those things, that definitely rewired how we view ourselves and how we view food too. And so for a lot of women that I deal with, that's kind of the root cause, whether it was, they watched a movie and it made them feel insecure about themselves because the character who was, already not overweight to begin with was talking about like how she was fat and stuff and all these things or whatever. I feel like it definitely kind of rewired the brain and how we view ourselves and how we view our body. And so then with like clients, when it's on like a one-on-one basis, a lot of my programming is geared around learning how to eat to feel your best. Because I'm a really big believer that when you start making choices around food that actually let you feel physically good, it's so much easier to stick with it.
Yeah, I agree.
And so like a lot of people have the idea that if you're doing a diet, like you have to have low energy, you have to lose your period, you have to hate everything about it. It has to be boring, have all these, stupid things. And that's not true. A lot of the times, like, so there's a lot of comfort in what's familiar. And so like if you're someone who doesn't eat, who skips breakfast, whether because it's an intentional or unintentional thing, and you've been doing that for years, and then, lunch comes around and you're like, oh, well, I'm just so busy, I don't have time to eat, once again, whether intentional or not, like if that's actually the reason you just feel like you don't have time. And then, you come to dinner and it's just like, oh, okay, well, I haven't eaten all day, so I'll have a little bit of food now, or I'll have a lot of food, kind of just dependent on what habits you've developed over the past few years that have led you to a body where you don't feel good in it, whether it's because you don't like how it looks, you don't like how it feels, you don't like how it performs. The things that you've been doing has led to that outcome, but it's familiar. It's comfortable. It's, it's not scary to change to these things, because also you got to think about too, at least from like what I talked about earlier in the sense of, what we grew up with, what was kind of ingrained into our brains and stuff is, and thinking on like a psychological aspect, there's a, a negative feedback loop in the brain where essentially if you believe something, your brain is going to find reasons in what you do and your outcomes to validate that belief. So if you believe like, let's say you grew up doing all the extreme diets and all the fad diets because that's what was popular in magazines and that's what was, advertised on commercials and stuff like that. And you spent 10 years doing all these extreme diets that aren't designed to have sustainable fat loss. Like, yeah, they help you lose, fat temporarily, but they're not things that you can do for life, like
Right.
bodybuilding or, like keto or carnivore, these things where they're definitely more on the extreme side. What happens is you start learning that pattern of like, okay, hey, if I want to lose 10 pounds, I need to do this extreme diet and I'll lose those 10 pounds for my vacation or my wedding or whatever it is.
Right.
And then after that event, the weight comes back because you strategically plan your extreme dieting to lead up to whatever event you have where you want to lose 10 pounds for. And then after the event, you go back to, guess what? The ways that you were eating beforehand that made you want to lose 10 pounds. And then you gain the weight back. If anything, you probably gain back more than 10 pounds.
Right.
And then next time that a holiday or vacation, something comes around where you're like, oh, okay, I need to lose some weight again. You go back to what's familiar.
So I want to pause real quick. So you made a very good point about how you go back to your normalcy, and not only do you gain back, let's say you tried to lose like the 10 pounds for the wedding and you gain that back, you probably end up actually gaining like 12 to 15. The way it's always been taught to me and the way I understand it is that your body, like you said, comfort is where you want to stay. And so the body doesn't want to get out of a routine and it doesn't want to get out of where it feels comfortable. So like, let's say just for round numbers, someone weighs 150 pounds and they want to drop to 140 because they feel like 140 is going to be the magical number that'll make them look better and whatever. So they drop to 140. Well, the body wants to be back at 150 because it understands like that's where it's comfortable. And then it wants to protect itself because the body wants to, again, it has defense mechanisms or whatever the fuck. So not only does it do 150, it tries to overcompensate to maybe get to 155 so that if it dips like that again for whatever reason we, the body, go down again, it'll be an easier break. Is that accurate? Kind of?
To an extent, yes.
Okay.
I mean, you're kind of on the right path in the sense of, yes, the body likes familiarity, but it's not necessarily that like the body's like, oh, this 150 pounds feels great, because your body doesn't know what you weigh. Like your body doesn't, know what the exact number is. It just knows where it performs its best. And that could be the 150 or it could not be. Maybe 150 isn't your ideal weight and maybe it is. But the part that you're, like I said, kind of on the right path with is our body is not designed to be in a deficit or to have, to be restricting food intake. Because if you think about it, our body and our metabolism is not designed for fat loss. Like a lot of people associate the metabolism with fat loss, but your metabolism is like your energy unit for functioning everything in your body. Your body doesn't freaking care about fat loss to an extent. Obviously if you're like severely overweight and it's affecting how your body functions and stuff, then yes. But, your metabolism powers, all it powers everything within your cells. And, there's so much more to your metabolism than just fat loss. Only recently, within like, if I remember correctly, I think it's like the last 10 to 20 years, have we started exploring the metabolism as a fat loss asset. Because metabolism is, like I said, it's got so much more purpose than just helping you lose weight. And so our body, our body is designed, like you said, for survival. It's designed to keep us safe. And so what can happen when you diet frequently or you do extreme diets or, you're under eating for an extended period of time, once again, whether intentionally or not, is your body does have all these kind of like checks and balances that it goes through, and it has all these mechanisms to essentially keep you safe and healthy. Because although our body's super complex and advanced, it's also hasn't fully evolved to meet where we're at today. You think about it this way, like we used to grow up in, African plains where lions would be chasing us or, things like that. And so our body, has this built-in system of the sympathetic nervous system that tells you like, oh shit, we got to fight, flight, or freeze. And then we kind of solved the lion problem of chasing us, as we got more educated as humans. But then the body didn't necessarily advance with that. And so it doesn't necessarily have a way of identifying like, oh, this stress is because I have a work deadline, or this stress is because a lion's trying to chase me and eat me. To our body, stress is stress, and it stimulates the same type of response, which is, once again, that sympathetic nervous system. So in the same sense, back in, 100 some years ago when we were, reliant on crops to table type of thing, if food was scarce, it was because weather or the soil wasn't good or something like that, not because it was an intentional way to shrink our bodies. And so then, our body is like, oh, okay, food's restricted this winter, let's kind of start slowing down some systems to keep our human alive, you know? So a lot of times when it's one of the reasons why women lose their periods when they're on, you know, too long and too extreme of period or diets is because sex hormones are not important in that hierarchy of like, okay, we have less caloric intake, we have less energy. What can we reduce in this body to make sure that our human can still function properly and survive this winter?
That's interesting because you would think that they would be important. So you said sex hormones are not at the top of the list. That's interesting because you would think that anything to do with the reproductive system would be higher up because you need to keep the human race going.
Nope. Because think about it this way. Well, you know, once again, let's say we're 150 years ago or whatever, and a woman gets pregnant and then food availability drops off significantly and there's not enough food to support the mother, let alone the baby. And so then that's just more stress, more taxing on the woman's body, and the baby doesn't make it.
Right.
And so the body learns to an extent from, you know, instances like that. And so it's like, hey,
right, that makes sense. Okay.
Hey, we don't have enough food to support a baby. Yes, reproduction is, you know, important to an extent.
But even if we get to that point, we can't do it. So, okay, that makes sense.
So
that
it's
makes
like,
sense.
let's cut it off. Yeah. And so, you know, our body does have all these mechanisms in place to support us. And that's why, you know, doing yo-yo dieting where you're doing an extreme diet and then you gain back weight and then you do an extreme diet again and gain back weight and you keep going back and forth. Can be harmful on the metabolism and make it even harder for you to lose weight in the future because your body starts adapting to that pattern, that repetition. And that kind of goes back into that negative feedback loop too, mentally, because it's like, okay, every time that I do a diet, I lose 10 pounds, but then I can never keep that weight off. And you keep proving that to yourself every time you go back to the same choice that got you to there. You know, you're not changing the actual systematic things that cause long-term results. You're just going back to, once again, hey, when I, you know, cut out carbs and drop my caloric intake to 1,000 calories, I lost 10 pounds. Cool. That's a proven data point that our brain can actually understand. And it's like, okay, if I need to lose 10 pounds again, let's do that again.
Starve myself for however
Yeah, let's
long.
do that again because that worked last time. And so then it's like, it keeps repeating itself, and until you change how you believe about what you can do, you're not going to actually shift into like a different feedback loop. Because even if, you know, let's say that person keeps repeating that diet back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and at one point it eventually stops working, because it will, because like we were talking about, the body adapts to it and stuff, and eventually it's just like, we can't fucking keep living on 1,000 calories. Like, get your shit together. We're screaming at you to like give us more and, you know, help us more, support us more. And so then when that happens and you stop losing weight, you start thinking like, oh, dieting just doesn't work for me, or there's something wrong with me and I just can't lose weight. No matter what I do, I can't lose weight. And so then that's a belief that then triggers your actions afterwards. So it's like, once you have that thought of like, oh, well, I just can't lose weight, you don't make choices that support that. Or sorry, you make choices that support that belief of like, yeah, I can't lose weight, so what's the point? You keep going into, you know, maybe overconsumption of food or underconsumption or whatever it is that you've been doing. And then when it comes to actually joining like a nutrition program, whether it's mine or someone else's that focuses on changing eating habits and mental beliefs, it gets scary because that's not something you've done before. That's not familiar. You're like, hey, if eating 1,000 calories isn't working for me, how can eating 2,000 calories work for me? Like, that doesn't make sense, because we've been told for so long we have to eat less to weigh less. And obviously, to an extent, yes, that is true. You know, a way to lose fat is through a calorie deficit, but some people need what's known as a reverse diet phase first, where you actually give more calories back into the body in a strategic way to support the metabolism and the hormones. And
because I wonder how many people in general even eat the amount of calories that are necessary.
Probably not.
And that's on like both ends of the spectrum. Like, you have people that overeat every day and now become very overweight, and then you have people that are underweight and they think they're underweight even though they maybe not, or whatever it is. Let's say they're underweight and they're only eating naturally 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day. And you should probably ramp that up a little bit, because you need to get your body at a, like you were saying, you need to get your body at a
functional,
a functional level. Like, you need a basis of understanding and start there, and then figure out where to modify to get to whatever goal you want to get to. And not that this maybe even matters, but I feel like I should ask it anyway. When people do go through like you're just saying, like a yo-yo diet, right? and they lose the 10 pounds or 15 pounds or whatever it is. Generally speaking, I know it's a case-by-case basis. How much of that is even fat? Because you can't target fat loss. So how much of that is even what they want to lose, or how much of that is like water weight, or...
I mean, it depends on what method they use. A lot of times, my problem with keto is it gives false... I don't know what the right way to describe it is. But like, okay, so let's say you do keto where you cut out all your carbohydrates. And within the first week, you're going to lose a significant of water weight. You're going to lose a significant amount of water weight because carbohydrates, like the suffix says, hydrates your body. Carbs, for every 1 gram of carb you consume, your body holds on to 3 to 4 grams of water. So if you cut out...
Say it one more time.
For every 1 gram of carb you consume, your body holds on to 3 to 4 grams of water. Because when we eat carbs, they get broken down into glucose, which is the energy source that our cells use. However, if we consume more glucose than we need, our body will store it as glycogen. For some reason, glucose can't be stored as glucose. It has to be converted to glycogen, which is just a stored inactive version of it. And so let's say your body signals to you that it needs 50 grams of carbs, and you have 100 grams of carbs. Well, the 50 grams will, like I said, go get converted into glucose. It'll go to the cells that need it. And then the other 50 grams will go to your liver or your muscles first. Your liver can only hold a certain amount of glycogen in it, and then the other goes to your muscles and stuff. And so you've got that 50 grams of glycogen hanging out in your liver. And so then in the future, like a few hours later, maybe your body's like, hey, we need 20 more grams of glucose. Can you send it up? The liver will be like, yeah, sure, I got you. If it's got, if you're drinking enough water to support that. Because like I said, for every 1 gram of carbs you consume, your body needs 3 to 4 grams of water to help process that into energy. So there's this fun term called gluconeogenesis, which is essentially converting glycogen and glucose back and forth. And you need the water molecules there to convert glycogen back to glucose. So also carbs, they contribute to a lot of water weight because of that. So I don't know. I mean, you can do this experiment at home if you want, where you can, let's say you have a dinner with a lot of carbohydrates, weigh yourself the next day. You're going to weigh, probably 3 to 8 pounds more, not because you gained 3 to 8 pounds overnight. I don't think people realize how much effort it actually takes to gain fat. You have to consume, like, for most people, around 3,500 calories on top of your maintenance amount of calories, which is what, like, your body, where calories going in equals calories going out. So it takes some effort. I mean, it's definitely doable, especially if you're choosing like high calorie food.
Well, I was going to say, like, if you look at the average American diet, I forget, like, the last thing it's been a while since I've looked into it, like, significantly. Because anything, I'll be perfectly honest, anything regarding health I've been looking into lately has just been the GLP-1 stuff, because it's fucking everywhere. Yeah. But it was something like the average American diet, people get fast food on average 6 times a week, I think was the last thing that I read, or something like that. And then if you look at something like a standard, like a fucking like a Big Mac meal or a pizza, you're looking at anywhere between, and that's a huge range, but you're looking at anywhere between 1,100 calories to 2,000 calories per meal. Mm-hmm. And that's just in that one thing. You do that a couple times a day or a few times a week, and you tack on soda on top of that and all, because you're completely right where it's easier to do that, but I don't think people realize how easy it is to drink calories.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Whether it's through sodas or it's through alcohol. Yeah. Well, coffee's like...
Well, I mean, like Starbucks coffee.
Right, well, okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's a difference between because I just like black coffee. If I want to get a little weird with it, I might get like a vanilla latte from Starbucks, but I have to ask them because I like getting a medium. I don't know what the Starbucks lingo is for a medium, but a medium coffee or a medium latte has 4 pumps of vanilla, and I have to ask them, like, hey, can I just get 2 because it just gets too sweet for me? Mm-hmm. And so, if they are like a friend of mine, she used to work at a Starbucks years ago, and back then, this is like 2016, maybe a little over a decade ago. And back then, I used to love getting like a strawberries and cream, like Frappuccino gay shit. I love that shit. Oh, yeah. And I had the metabolism of 3 racehorses, so it would do nothing to me, But I remember what like made me get off those immediately was she was working there. And I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, like what like
You know, what's in this thing? And she sent me like the Starbucks breakdown of like how many pumps of this and how many pumps of that and what's the bada. And like a medium thing of what I was getting had like 80 grams of sugar or some shit. And I was like,
Holy shit.
No,
No,
that's too much.
And that's the thing is like you don't think about it. You're just like, ooh, this is yummy, and then you keep getting it.
And it's so easy to drink calories like that.
Oh,
So
yeah, for sure.
between like the dressed up coffee drinks at like a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or alcohol or soda, I mean, those rack up quick and you don't really recognize it until you do that for, days turn to weeks, weeks turn into months, and you've packed on 30 to 40 pounds and you're like, where did all this come from?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
It's very, so how much have you looked because I do want to talk about GLP-1s because they're just everywhere. How much on your own time have you looked into GLP-1s?
I mean, when they first started coming out a decent amount, it's been a little while since. My standpoint with it is I definitely believe it can be useful for some people for weight loss purposes. I mean, obviously it's useful for diabetes and, things like why it was initially made. But like I said, for some people, I definitely think it could be beneficial. My problem with GLP-1, at least from the people I've talked to that have been on it, that's kind of been more of my research, is asking people
like
who've
case
been
studies,
on it.
right? Yeah, fair enough.
Like friends and stuff that have been on it, or people who apply to coaching that are currently on it or have been on it. Kind of just talking to them about their experience with it, and everything that's been reported to me from these people have not been very positive. They achieve the weight loss and they weigh less and stuff, but then they tell me like they have no appetite, they throw up all the time, they have no desire or pleasure for anything at all in life. I don't remember the actual statistics, but I was looking at this research and it was saying something like, so I'm literally just going to spew out a number because I don't remember it, so don't quote me on this, but it's something like people who are on GLP-1 are like 30% more likely to commit suicide than people who aren't or something, because it removes all the pleasure from, your brain and seeking out that and stuff. And so a lot of the people I've talked to, like I said, they've lost the weight, they're happy about that, but they feel weak. They feel tired. They aren't happy. They, like I said, have like no appetite. They're fearful of food now. All of these things. And so my issue with the GLP-1, and honestly with any like weight loss medication based thing, is some people can definitely benefit from it. But if we're not providing those people with realistic, customized ways to also improve their eating habits and their movement habits, and once again, all the habits in their lifestyle that led them to the point where they looked into getting GLP-1, then it's not going to do anything, because either they're going to become dependent on the drug itself to maintain the weight loss, or they're going to get the weight loss that they want, and then they've been so miserable on the drug that when they get off of it, they essentially view it like a bodybuilding comp, where it's like you've been so restrictive for so long that the moment you get off, you're literally shoveling like donuts and things in your mouth, which I have done before.
Yeah, same.
Like literally a vacuum cleaner of just like donuts and pizza and like pizookies and all this stuff. Like the amount of calories I probably consumed after my first show was probably like fucking 5,000 or something like that.
For sure.
If like on the minimum side. And so I feel like I was talking with someone who explained it that way. They're like, yeah, when I got off of the GLP-1, like I was so miserable for the, 4 or 5, 6 month stint that they were on it, that they're like, I wanted to eat everything in sight. And so, whether it's like geriatric surgery, GLP-1s, or any type of medical.
Geriatric surgery?
Yeah. Bariatric.
Okay. It's like,
geriatric older people. I meant bariatric.
oh, what's bariatric surgery?
There's a few different ways of it, but essentially it's like, the most common one is when they go in and they like staple your stomach to a smaller size so that you consume less.
What?
I mean, you're not like conscious when they're doing it.
Well, okay, no shit. No, okay, no, I'm not like, okay, obviously, I'd fucking hang tight, bud. Ka-tung, ka-tung. Yeah, no shit. But I'm saying, like, that's such a, they do that today.
Yeah.
We're in 2026. There has to be a better way to do things.
I mean, I don't know if they're still stapling it, but it's essentially the shrinking. It's a medical way to shrink the stomach, because the stomach is a muscle that stretches.
Right, but there has to be a better way to go about these things.
I mean,
That's such a man. Like, in full disclosure, I've been trying to write a joke. I just haven't cracked it yet. But like, I had a joke idea about how tampons are clearly
a man-made thing.
a man-made
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
It's like, you just
100%.
shove it up there. Like,
Yeah.
I've been trying to write, but it's just so hacked. And I'm like, whatever. But like, that's such a man response. Like, oh, you want to eat less? Just staple that thing shut, man. Like, there's got to be a better way to do this.
I mean, it's definitely gotten, improved in how it's been done over the years, but same thing, with bariatric surgery. If you don't develop better lifestyle habits before the surgery and after the surgery, you're going to gain it back. That's the thing. If people, so the problem that I have with like the GLP-1 is people want a quick fix.
Yeah.
People don't want to put in the time and effort to change their lifestyle and change their identity.
Well, people don't want to put time and effort into anything anymore. And I'm the same way. Like, literally, like, now when I run this podcast in the back end, AI does most of the work. AI edits this bitch. AI creates the titles. AI creates the description. AI creates the clips. I'm just like, I can do this. Okay. Because I just remember starting this out for the first 3.5 to almost 4 years of hours of sitting on that fucking computer editing, not even just editing the episode, but just like changing the camera angles and trying to come up with a good title and trying to come up with a blah. And I'm just like, no, I can just, and it does it for me in hours or hours of work condensed to maybe
30 minutes.
like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I get it. I totally fucking get it.
And like I said, I mean, I get it too, and it's hard too, because when we have social media, that's, when we have fucking Serena Williams glorifying GLP-1,
Yeah.
who, I remember when that ad first came out, a client of mine reached out and she was so upset over that ad because she was like, here I was as a woman looking up to her because she's one of the top performing athletes like in her sport, or she's the top. I don't know if she still is the top, but she's very good at what she does.
Yeah.
And she's like this embodiment of like health and performance and strength. And then she comes out that she's doing GLP-1, and for my client, she was just like saying that it just feels very disheartening to see like these women that you look up to for like their confidence in their body and how their body performs, not just on how it looks, but like, hey, her body made her a Wimbledon champion, right?
I don't know much about tennis.
Fact check that.
Yeah. But she's one of the greatest to ever do
yeah,
it.
And so,
well, my question, I guess, and we'll never know, obviously, we're not her physician or her doctor, we're not her, but like, I wonder if she's even on it. Truly.
oh yeah, true.
Like, because I saw that ad too, and just when I see people like not to sound like a prick, but clearly jelly rolls on it, obviously, like that massive amount of weight loss so quickly, and just you see people that aren't even overweight that get on these things like Ariana Grande or Cynthia Erivo that have like that super shrunken in face look, and they look fucking very unhealthy. Like you see their arms and their like you see like around their like their collarbone, and you see like it's just very like deadly. Like it looks sickly, and you see people like that are on it, and you see even people like Jelly Roll that get on it. And I'm glad he lost the weight. I mean, it's going to be better for him in the long term. Hopefully, if he maintains, I'm sure he will. He's got millions of dollars and can have all the whatever. But you see the unhealthy look of the outcome where it comes out. So they're clearly on it. But then you see somebody highly skilled, talented, athletic like Serena Williams, and I just wonder if she's even on it or if she just collected the bag and moved on and she's just lying about it. I really wouldn't be surprised, but now the optics of how it looks on the back end doesn't really change that. But I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously GLP-1 is something that's probably going to be utilized for a while, either until another med comes out that sweeps the nation, or long-term research comes out and it's actually maybe not the best for people. I don't know. But I think if someone gets on it, they need nutritional support. They need help with,
as with everything
lifestyle,
else in life. Yeah.
And not just from, and I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to your doctors, but a lot of doctors don't
you go back
give customized advice. It's very generalized, like, oh, you want to lose weight, eat 1,200. The amount of clients I have that have come to me that were like, yeah, I essentially applied for coaching because my last doctor's appointment, my doctor told me I was overweight when I stepped on the scale. They used the BMI, which is an outdated system, and told me that I'm overweight. And then they said that, oh, just for me to lose weight, I should eat 1,200 calories. And it's I feel like a lot of doctors, and I would like to play devil's advocate and believe that they actually know more about nutrition in the body. And it's more so just the standards that, insurance and billing and the higher ups have put on them, where it's like, hey, you get fucking 15 minutes with this client. So like, we don't have time to get back history. We don't have time to figure out how their metabolism works. We don't have time to get, dieting history. So just like give generalized advice.
Well, you go back to we talked about at the very beginning of this about the, we're in a trust recession. Mm-hmm. I mean, where my brain goes to with the doctors is just like they're funded by the pharmaceutical companies. The medical schools they go to are funded by the pharmaceutical companies. At the end of the day, they're drug dealers. No, truly. At the end of the day, they are drug dealers. And anyone who thinks otherwise after COVID's a fucking idiot. Truly. Like, if you look at your doctor and you see them anything else than a drug peddling whatever who may have cared about people at one point, and not all doctors are bad. I don't believe that. But I believe truly that the vast majority of doctors, north of 80% of doctors that have been in their field for however long it took them to lose their moral compass, they get beaten down. And I think, because truly, just from like the research that I've done and from talking to people that are in the medical field that are my friends, nurses are the ones holding up the fucking medical field right now. And they always have been, as it turns out. It's the nurses that are the really knowledgeable and the skilled ones. The fucking doctor that comes in and talks to you 15 minutes if you're lucky. If you're lucky, you'll get 15 with your doctor. But the doctors that come in and talk to you, and like I've had nurse friends, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to lose their jobs, but like I've had nurse friends that have told me, both male and female nurses, where they're like they've seen their doctor just taking information about their client, well, it might as well be clients, but their patients, and then going on a fucking WebMD. Or just going on Google, wait, symptoms of the
ChatGPT.
Yeah, no, and ChatGPT, and using AI to figure out like what's the best course of action.
Don't like that.
Well, yeah, and just I don't know, man. Like I don't trust institutions in general. After COVID really went like that to my brain. It's like, oh, none of this is fucking real. And the more I read, the more disgusted I get. But when you find out, again, back to it's a business. So when the pharmaceutical companies are funding the medical schools they go to, they fund the hospitals where they operate, they pay the doctors on the back end for the most part on all the medications that they push out. And they like when you're getting a dividend on the medication that you're pushing, well, no shit, you're going to push the name brands. No shit, you're going to try to say, hey, listen, I would be hard pressed. I think you too would be hard pressed to find somebody who recently went to a doctor, got a prescription that didn't come with a certain amount of refills. Because they want to keep you on that medication. And they want to keep doing it. Which, quite frankly, I was credit where it's due. The VA gets a horrible rep, and they've earned that. They have earned it. But our VA here in New Mexico is actually pretty decent.
No, it is.
Like, I remember when I got my hernia surgery, like 3 years ago, I think at this point, I remember just being in fucking pain and just dying. And on day 3, I called the representative supposed to call. I was like, hey, listen, I need to talk to the fucking doctor that they gave me like basically their version of ibuprofen. Mm-hmm. And I was like, listen, I am typically against opiates, but I fucking need a low grade of something because I am dying over here. And I ended up talking to the doctor, and she was like, just wait. You don't need it. Just wait. I was like, fuck you, this hurts. So no, you gotta wait. You gotta wait. And that's what I did, and we're all good. Thankfully, there was a doctor with a fucking conscience, but the vast majority don't. Mm-hmm. And they've all turned in. Most of them have turned into drug dealers. And like a good mutual friend of ours, I'm not going to say his name, but a mutual friend of ours, is a comic in town, was getting prescribed. He hasn't gotten on it yet, but for weight loss is getting prescribed GLP-1s. And I kept telling my dude, like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, but fucking do your research, bud, because I'm really worried about that shit. Because what worries me, because you brought up like the binge eating that comes after you're eating or after you're taking the medication, the suicidal ideations that are happening with these people that are on them. And then I'm reading about all these thyroid issues and about how you can't get on GLP-1s if you have thyroid issues. Where my brain goes to with all of this is it's really jacking up the hormones in the body. And because with the hormones, and I had a point that I was going, what really worries me about GLP-1s is, so with your hormones getting jacked up, you're getting less bone density. And so that's going to have the long-term effects. And then no wonder it's taking away all the pleasure of just life in general, because the brain, when you're fucking with the thyroid, because the thyroid, from what I understand, is what distributes the hormones, right? Because it comes from the pituitary down to the thyroid, right? So when all that's getting messed up, you're not going to be able to put on decent muscle mass, because you need testosterone to do that. I'm sure I don't know enough about it, but I'm sure it's jacking up women's menstrual cycles, because you need the estrogen to properly regulate all of that. Not that anything good will come out of it, but I would imagine, not that late night TV is a thing, but what was it when we were kids? If you had the TV on at 2:00 in the morning, it was a class action lawsuit for mesothelioma or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the class action lawsuit's going to be 20 years from now, it's going to be whatever disease that comes out of these GLP-1s, whatever they decide to call it. You're going to be seeing ads about that are caused by Ozempic or like Hims or Hers, or there's another one that I see on Hulu a lot.
Roe.
That one. That's the Serena Williams one, right? Roe. And I don't know. Because this is an extreme, obviously, but if you're trying to lose weight fast and all you care about is a number, hack your leg off. You'll lose weight quick.
Yeah.
But the ramifications of losing that weight obviously the juice is not worth the squeeze. And taking that analogy and you put it on the GLP-1 issue, in my opinion, people want to lose weight quick. They see the celebrities, but they don't understand, a lot of these celebrities, especially athletes, have literal scientists on their payroll trying to figure out how the best way is to lose the weight to make, because at the end of the day, I'm sure people like Jelly Roll, they want to feel better. Mm-hmm. I'm sure. But carrying around, you can see, I think at his heaviest, he was 350, 370, something just absolutely ungodly overweight. That is, I'm sure, a literal pain in the back to carry. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they want to feel better. But at the end of the day, these people have gotten so famous that they now need to be marketable. And you can only be fat and marketable for a little amount of time. Truly, you can only be fat and marketable for a small window of time, because especially today, unless you're in comedy, that's really it, because you can laugh at the fat guy or the fat girl and it's it's socially acceptable. The culture accepts that you laugh at the fat girl or the fat guy. It just is. But if you're in music, if you're in acting, if you're a social media influencer, whatever it is, you can only be fat and marketable for so long. So this whole team who's incentivized to make money off of this person who's really a product, they want to get this person to lose the weight as quickly as possible so their window of marketability widens as much as possible. And maybe I just don't trust much anymore, but that's where my brain goes. Where it's none of this is real anyway. And the moment that these people lose their window of opportunity, their window of fame, they're going to get dropped like that by this team of people, because because they want to go work with the next person, or they just can't afford them anymore. So now they're living off of the money that they've made, and so on and so forth. It's just a fucking ugly business. And I think all of this speaks to what you've been completely right about, is that you need to have the solid foundation, which is basically what you've been describing. You need to have the solid foundation behind you so that when the day comes that you're not on GLP-1s anymore, or you're not on fad diets anymore, because I think GLP-1s are starting to replace fad diets. Why do keto? Why do carnivore? Why do any of these hyper restrictive diets that you hate, when you can just do this, or you can take the pill? And the pill scares me too, because where my brain goes to is just like steroids, like Anavar, or any pill-based steroid that destroys the kidneys and destroys the liver. What are these GLP-1 pills doing to the organs? We don't know yet. That's the thing. But that, you see why I just go to that. Well, you're destroying your fucking organs. So whenever the day comes that you're off the fad diets or you're off the GLP-1s, what are you falling back on? It sounds like a house made of sand for a lot of these people, and it's going to be absolutely fucking devastating.
Yeah. I mean, I actually use a house as my analogy when I talk to clients too, because like you said, you can, let's say you're building a house. You can rush the process. I don't know much about house building, but like you can rush the process.
Hey, me neither.
You can rush the process and, you know, make everything out of like plywood and like nail guns. You know? And like you make your walls out of it, make everything. You don't do any insulation. You don't do nothing. And of course, over time, when, you know, the weather acts up, things like that, it's going to get worn down. It's going to collapse. And then you're going to have to rebuild it again. Or you can take the time and build a house out of concrete and do it right and build a strong foundation so that when things happen like holidays, birthdays, vacations, anything like that, your foundation still stays secure. You just change the fucking decorations in the house. You know? And so it's the same thing with like nutrition too. You want a strong foundation, but guess what? It takes a long fucking time to build a strong foundation, especially if you had a really fucked up foundation beforehand. Because then not only we have to do a whole other step where we have to unravel that fucked up foundation and then rebuild it without trying to do the methods you did to build the foundation the first time.
What do you, again, I know it's a case-by-case thing with the clients that you coach, but the biggest hurdle, other than, I think this is the biggest hurdle, and then like right under it is like the food issue. But the biggest hurdle I'd imagine that you have to work with your clients to get over is habits. So how do you have like methods or practices or whatever it is to help them break out of, hey, like, well, I think a perfect one is I see myself falling into this every now and again, like where a lot of times my breakfast is a couple cups of coffee and some nicotine. You know what I mean? And so that's not healthy for you. No. And even like right now, so I was up real early this morning and I made some eggs, big bowl of yogurt and granola, and I think that's about it actually, and some water. But that was about it. And then, but I feel better right now, obviously, because my body,
what a fucking surprise.
Yeah, right, obviously, right? Yeah, obviously, right? But I just say that because I know a lot of people don't do breakfast.
Yeah.
And then like that pattern that you were describing, it was like, lunch, and then dinner. It's really just one meal a day. They get under calorie, or it's the exact opposite, where it's just binging. So if you were to get somebody into the motion of breaking the habit of not eating breakfast, you give them all the information you want about why breakfast is important and why it's good to eat certain foods in the morning, so you can, you know, perform at least until lunch, and then whatever, and it sets your day on a good path. What practices could you give somebody to start eating breakfast more frequently, other than just eat the fucking food, dumbass? Other than that, like what? Because you have to do sustainable things to break the habit, right?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is just really starting small. So obviously, if someone hasn't been having breakfast and then you tell them, well, you should eat 3 eggs a day and a toast or whatever the fuck it is, they're not going to do it. Because that's like you're going from here and then you're asking them to go all the way over there. It's
even though it sounds like a small thing.
Yeah, but it's just, once again, they've believed that, you know, that breakfast isn't important or whatever. I mean, so side note real quick. If you're someone out there who is constantly skipping meals because you don't have time, it's not that. If you're doing it consistently, it's because you don't prioritize it. And there's a difference. Yeah. So don't fall back on justifying your actions with something like time. It's just not a priority to you.
Well, it just goes back to an issue of accountability, which I totally get it, but it's just, I mean, that's it.
Yeah, and until it becomes a priority to you, it's not going to change. So that's the problem, is a lot of people are trying to have change that aren't ready, willing, and able to actually do what it takes to have change. Because it's still, at the end of the day, if you don't care about it, then I can do everything in my power to coach you, but if at the end of the day you don't fucking care about changing, guess what? You're not going to change.
Right.
But with breakfast, you know, if I have clients that don't eat breakfast, what I try and do, especially if they're like resisting breakfast or really pushing back on the idea of breakfast, I just say, okay, well, can we just start with adding something small in? So if you like coffee, could you, you know, there's like coffee flavored protein out there now. You know, it's like, could you add a little bit of that in there? Could you have literally 2 fucking blackberries? Could you have could you have a Fairlife protein shake? Could you, you know, just something, because
some of that abuse protein shake? Is that what you're telling your people?
The Fairlife.
Isn't Fairlife where they beat the fuck out of the cows or whatever?
God, I hope not. I really like Fairlife. No, don't ruin Fairlife for me.
I saw. I'm gonna look it up really quick. I'm gonna look up the logo because I remember reading something absolutely horrible. Now I love Fairlife too.
advertised on this thing. Let me see.
I literally put my little creatine in my Fairlife. Shake it up.
Let me see. Hang on. Let me find the logo. If it's the one that I'm thinking about. Yeah, it totally is. Oh yeah. So like they like the cows that are involved in like the mass farming of Fairlife products. They don't beat the fuck out of it. Like, they're not like.
Fucking produce milk.
Yeah, they're not like, heavy bagging the cows or anything, but apparently like the conditions they were in a huge scandal like 5 years ago,
That fucking sucks.
where it came out during COVID, so it kind of got like under the rug of like the fucking
importance of things.
Yeah, the mass lie that was happening. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess the conditions that the cows are living in are just fucking terrible for the Fairlife.
Well,
so I just see it. I just see it in Costco, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah!"
Well, maybe they've changed how they do. I don't know. That sucks.
Don't let it deter you. Who gives a fuck? Who cares?
I care.
Why?
Because I love animals.
Okay, this is a whole different conversation. I mean, to get a sidetrack, but like, I don't know, because like I understand that you shouldn't kick puppies. Like, I get that. Like, if you see a dog on the street. Unless it bites you first and it's some evil fucking thing that wants to like rip your calf off, I get that. But like, if you're at somebody's house and there's a little dog walking around, you shouldn't you shouldn't do that, right? That's bad. But like, I think there are should these like mass cattle and mass like farming operations be regulated a bit more? Totally, 100%. I totally get it. But like with the chickens thing, where like we've all seen the videos that PETA puts out where it's like. To kill the chickens, they're on this conveyor belt and there's the buzz saw going and like I totally get that. I get it. But it's like the amount of materials needed to feed just the United States is insane. And I use materials intentionally because it's a broad chicken are materials and cows and whatever, pigs. I get it. But to feed America at the rate you have to, you got to get efficient and you got to get efficient quick. And I think with these companies, obviously they want to cut costs as much as possible and up production as much as possible. And you're going to run into these ugly things where maybe the fucking cages they're in are a bit tiny. And I totally get it. I'm not defending these companies, but it's like, I get it. It's not great, but do you want to go to Costco and get your fucking 24 pack of eggs for $4 or $5 or get your giant, 30 pack of Fairlife protein shakes for $24? Well, you're gonna have to accept. I mean, these fucking phones, these are slave phones. You know what I mean? They are made by slaves in cobalt mines halfway across the world, and they're assembled by little Chinese toddlers in factories, putting them together, and they get shipped off to America, and you pay $1,200 for them. But it gives you access to the world, and you get nice dopamine hits, and you get to build a business off of it, and you get to build a podcast off of it, and you get to be a comedian, and you get to... There's ugly things we have to accept, and it's nasty, but...
So basically what you're saying is we just need to blow up the whole world and start over.
I mean, no. Now, that's how I feel about the Epstein files. I'll make it very clear about that. That's where I cut the lines. I just prioritize humans over animals, but... Because I agree, this is a whole other conversation too, but I agree with that on that subject, where it's like, I was on this on my episode 2 days ago, where I'm like... Because, you had fucking Kash Patel's hostage ass out there talking about how, or was it Kash Patel or was it Speaker Johnson? One of those two were saying something about how, like, some of the things that need to get redacted in the files are like threats to national security and it could upend the political system or whatever. And just to dumb it down, my whole thought process is like, okay, well, I love our country. I love America. I truly do. I love the idea of this country. I love the United States. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. However, the systems that we have need to be fixed, a lot of them, but I think they run at decent capacity most of the time. If, for these systems, because they don't even run extremely well all of the time. They run, I think, mediocrely some of the time, right? I'll put it that way. If for these systems to run on the back end, the necessary evil is that there is a elite ring of a certain specific group of people that are pedophiles
do these systems need to run? Or should you just up in the systems, get these people exposed, publicly execute them, and then rebuild the system? And basically what I just described is revolution. But what, you know what I mean? This got real dark real quick. But like, you get what I mean? It's like, should these systems exist if the back end of it is pedophilia and human trafficking and the potential killing and eating of children? I don't think so. Like, I'm sorry, but that's my red line. Now, if we could find a way to upend the pedophiles while maintaining the foundation of the system so we don't fucking collapse, that'd be preferable. But I've never seen a calm revolution. I've never read about one.
Well, maybe there's a first for it.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'll make that
You're
very
gonna be
clear.
an optimist. Maybe there's a first.
I'd like to, because listen, dude, you know what I love? Like, legitimately, one of my favorite parts about modern society, truly, indoor plumbing. I fucking adore indoor plumbing, and I think we take it for granted way too. I love indoor, dude. The ability to take a shit in peace in a climate-controlled room.
I mean, you don't want to do it outside in like a hole.
No, and then have to worry about like if we're shitting too close to the crops, then we eat the shit corn and then we die. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to worry about that. We literally have underground pipes that get rid of our. Like, I love that. I can do without showers, like whatever. That's kind of like an iffy thing to me. Like,
That's where I draw the line.
like we all have our personal things, but I need to shit in peace. I need to shit in peace with toilet paper.
I think that's a man thing.
Yeah, maybe, but perhaps, maybe. My whole I've gone without showers. Like the military taught me that real quick, but it did teach me to adore a peaceful poop. And if we could maintain that, and then get rid of the evil people, sick. But I like my
Timber.
but I like my toys too. And I understand that these were probably put together by little Taiwanese, whatever. But I like my toys too. I like my peaceful poops. And whatever. I don't know. What were we talking about?
I don't know.
That shit gets me fired up, dude.
I don't know. But
we were talking about we were talking about breakfast.
Oh yeah.
So let's say you're starting to get somebody on, because you're completely right about how you give them all the information in the world, but it's the actions and the patterns of actions. Mm-hmm. So let's say they start eating smaller things like a protein shake in the morning.
Or a blackberry.
Yeah. They start eating their abuse shake in the morning, right? Okay. At what point, because I'd imagine at some point you have to remind them or put it a part of a training plan or whatever that, like, hey, the reason you're doing this and the reason you may start to feel a little bit better in the morning is because you're literally fueling your body. Mm-hmm. And you're fueling your body, you're setting yourself up for a better day. Is that something that you do? You remind them so you can start tacking on more food, and then, okay, now that let's just say you never completely solve an issue with health, you just don't. In my experience, at least personal experience, let's say you've gotten 80% of the issue solved with breakfast. You've got a decent breakfast going where they're eating about 500 to 600 calories. They're good food and blah 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 blah. This is an arbitrary number. And you can move on to the lunch problem, the dinner problem. Is that generally how that looks?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, usually for most clients on their first check-in, they get information about how eating, normal meals throughout the day can help with hormone production, energy levels, blood sugar regulation, all that stuff. Because I'm a really big believer that the why should also be provided. You shouldn't just tell someone to do something and then be like, okay. Like, you should provide them with accurate, up-to-date information on why that's important.
Agreed.
And so a lot of times with breakfast, when they start eating, because the problem when people don't have breakfast for an extended period of time is their hunger hormone ghrelin, which is the hormone that tells you to eat.
What is it again?
Ghrelin, Grelin. A way you can remember it is, like when you're hungry and your stomach kind of Grelin.
Okay.
But like, when you're hungry and your stomach kind of makes a grumbling noise or it gurs?
Yeah.
Ghrelin. When I was studying nutrition, that's how I remembered the difference between ghrelin and leptin.
This is why you're a great coach, because you can make things dumbed down for people like me, where I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's great. Yeah, ghrelin, the hunger hormone, stimulates appetite, increases food intake, mediates glucose homeostasis. Okay, yeah.
So your hunger hormones, I want you to think about it in the sense of like units. So let's say breakfast comes around. Breakfast time comes around and your body's like, okay, it's breakfast time. We haven't eaten since, 6 p.m. yesterday. It's 7 a.m. today. Let's send out 5 units of ghrelin. And then you decide not to have breakfast, whether maybe you woke up too late, you're running behind, or you just don't want to have breakfast, or whatever it may be.
Right.
You don't have it. And then your body receives that feedback and it's like, okay, well, it takes energy to make ghrelin. It takes calories to make these hormones. Everything in our body that is produced requires energy. And so it's like, okay, well, we just wasted, energy on these 5 units of ghrelin that our freaking human didn't listen to. So let's try doing 4 units of ghrelin. And then same thing, next morning, body releases 4 units of ghrelin. And then let's say you skip breakfast again for this reason or that reason.
Interesting.
And your body's like, all right, she's not fucking listening to us. She's not, she didn't fucking hear 4 units. So why are we wasting energy on 4 units? Let's drop down to 3 units.
Is that like the principle of if you don't use it, you lose it?
Will you lose your hunger cues? No.
No, not lose
but
it, but like it just gets same principle, but just
and so a lot of times if you're not feeling hungry in the morning, it's probably just because you've suppressed your hunger cues for so long that you just don't feel it. But your body is hungry at that time. Like logically thinking about it, if you let's say you ate dinner at 7 p.m., you wake up at 6 a.m., that is 11 hours, right? Yeah.
Like say it one more time.
Like let's say you ate dinner at 6 p.m., you wake up at 7 a.m.
Yeah, 11 hours, yeah.
Or,
yeah.
13, I don't know, whatever.
7 a.m. 13 hours. 13, because you're going forward,
I might have said different time. I don't know, whatever. That's 13 hours that your body has gone without food.
Right.
So you are definitely hungry in the morning. You may have just suppressed your ghrelin so low that your body is like, okay, well, why would we? Your body's all about efficiency. So it's like, why would we waste energy on this if she's not going to fucking listen to us? So by introducing blackberries, I say that because I had that with my breakfast today, and that's the fruit that's on my mind. So let's say you start with a blackberry, your body's like, holy fuck,
right?
She ate for us. Okay, cool. Tomorrow,
rev the engines back up.
Yeah, tomorrow let's instead of releasing 2 units of ghrelin, let's release 3 units and see if she eats again. So over time, you can retrain your body to regulate your hunger hormones. So then naturally, I don't even technically have to I still do, but like technically I wouldn't have to tell them to keep eating breakfast because naturally they would just get hungrier and hungrier.
Right.
And then it's kind of structuring, okay, how do we make a breakfast that is satiating, meaning it, keeps you full for long, it's got enough protein, it kind of just supports your body for the day. And then that same concept, applies to lunch and dinner too. And ways to really reinforce this habit development too is whenever they have a day where, like, oh my gosh, my energy was so good. I felt great. I had no crashes. I didn't have any cravings in the evening. It's like, okay, reflect on what you did that allowed for that to happen. And then they're like, well, I ate breakfast and it was breakfast. And it's like, yeah. So remember that, because if we take time to identify what direct choices are actually allowing us to feel good, it's so much easier to keep repeating those choices.
Right.
A lot of times we just change things without even recognizing what makes us feel better. So we have to take that time to be like, oh, this is a direct input that caused the output that I would desire.
So I don't know if this is related, but one thing that came to mind, I want to say this came up on an earlier episode that we did. I don't know, but I know this came up before on the podcast. So with addiction, and addiction being more specifically on habit forming things in the brain. So the like receptors in the brain that get formed, like the dopamine receptors or whatever the fuck it is, the receptors in the brain that get formed and they like attach or whatever to something that forms like habits or dopamine or something. I'm really doing a bad example of breaking this down, but like the multiple receptors or the receptors that get created that basically turns a habit into addiction. Does the receptor forming in the brain, does that have anything to do with the pleasure from eating breakfast in the morning, where it's like, okay, we're used to having breakfast in the morning and would that maintain the habit once they start doing that habit of breakfast? That like how does it alter the brain? I guess that's what I'm asking.
That's a great question. I don't honestly know.
Because
And,
obviously the hormones that are getting produced in the pituitary gland, ghrelin. So with ghrelin being produced in the brain, more units of that's being produced in the morning so they can go eat. So that's what altering the brain. Are there any other alterations in the brain that are getting into that positive feedback loop of eating breakfast, or is it just strictly the hormones?
You know, like I said, I'm not entirely sure. That's a really great question. I would imagine that, you know, kind of going back to that feedback loop we were talking about earlier, where it was kind of more on the negative side, focusing more on the positive side now. If you take the time to identify, hey, eating breakfast, a well-balanced, healthy, nutritious breakfast, allows me to, you know, think clearer throughout the day, have higher, more stable energy levels, not have cravings later, then once again, that belief of if I have breakfast that has been supported through actions and evidence of how your body feels kind of creates that positive feedback loop where it's like, okay, if I want to keep having good energy throughout the day, I need to ensure that my breakfast starts off, you know, strong. And then you make those choices that support that thought. Because our choices and our actions come after the thought is created.
Keep going. I'm just going to check the cameras.
Oh, no, that was...
Oh, that was it? Okay, cool. I'll show you in a second. Okay. I still get self-conscious about that shit. Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. So, again, I know a lot of these questions have been general, but obviously missing meals is a huge issue and like overeating and stuff like that. But when you're working with people to set realistic goals, what's a realistic goal with health?
It depends on the person.
Right? So, like, let's say someone... because I know it's all very specific towards, like, your individual clients.
It depends on the individual person. It depends on their past, too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if I'm working with someone who has no dieting history versus someone who has dieting history, it's going to take a different pathway to get them the results that they want. But it depends on what they want, their history with health, and then also their level of effort too. Because something that I like to make clear with my clients is you got to be realistic about the expectations you have for yourself in this program. Because I'm not a wizard. I'm just me. I'm just Nat. And like, I can give you the tools, the resources, the support, the accountability, the, tough love, the cheerleader, whatever works best for how you like to be coached. But like we were talking about, at the end of the day, if you are not ready, willing, and able, which is called the trans-theoretical model of change, if you're not ready, willing, and able to actually endure the growth that comes with change, you're not going to have change. And so someone could be like, I see this sometimes where clients come in and they're like, okay, well, when I was in my 20s, I was able to lose I was able to go to the gym 6 times a week, and I was able to, do 12,000 steps, and I was able to blah, 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 whatever. And so I tried implementing that again, and it's just not working. And so I'm well, yeah, of course it's not working.
You're not 20 anymore.
Yeah, because when you were 20, your priorities were probably different. They were probably like, hey, I've got all this free time, maybe I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to exercise, all this stuff, metabolism's a little different, hormones are a little different, lifestyle's a little different. And then, 10 years later, you're 30 and, let's say you have 2 kids. Hormones are different. Metabolism is different. Lifestyle is different. Priorities are different. So you can't take a method that worked for you in a time where you're no longer in that lifestyle. And so with like realistic outcomes or, being realistic about that, it comes down to, once again, your level of effort. So are you actually let's say maybe you rate yourself as a 3 out of 10 on prepping food for the week. And you're like, okay, well, if I increase that to maybe a 4 out of 10, what outcome would that bring me? If I just put a little bit more intention behind it, would I have all my meals prepped for the week, or what does that look like? Because being real, a lot of people overrate themselves. Like on the level of effort scale, maybe a 10 out of 10 is someone where bodybuilding is their full-time job. Because that is all they live, breathe, eat, sleep, bodybuilding. When I did bodybuilding, I was maybe like a 7 to an 8 out of 10 because I was also going to school full time. I was working full time. Like, it wasn't my number one priority. It was obviously a priority to me because I invested a lot of freaking money into it. And so I wanted to, that kind of held me accountable. But my level of...
Yeah, that's some real shit. That's some real shit. I mean, just the food alone, man. Like, I looked
more to the end of prep because I knew I'd spend less money.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get to this fucking thing where I'm starving the shit out of myself, but instead of $200 or whatever, it's gonna be like $120.
Yeah.
Thank God.
And so like my level of effort was high, but it wasn't even at that point a 10 out of 10. And right now I would say my level of effort for most of my things is around like, so for instance, the gym. My level of effort with the gym right now is honestly probably like a 3 out of 10. Not because it's not important to me.
Mine's a -2. I've been a lazy
But
bitch.
hey, being self-aware is great because you can't make change without self-aware. But like with mine
Y'all
being
catch that backhanded shit?
but like with mine being a 3 out of 10, it's not because the gym isn't important to me. It's just like it's not the number one priority for me. And I also recognize that when I was working out twice a day and, you know, I was going to the gym 6 times a week and I was running, you know, every day or things like that, it was because I also had way less things on my plate. Like I was a part-time student about to graduate. I had a stable 40-hour job where hours were predictable. You know, I had an hour lunch break where I could go run UNM's fucking golf course or whatever. And so like it was easy for me to prioritize exercise more because my lifestyle allowed for it. Now I'm running my own business. I just started, you know, the other business, which I'm excited to talk about. And, you know, I'm also in I was about to say committed relationship. I'm fucking married. I'm also in, but like it takes effort to like make your relationship good and healthy and stuff. Like, you know, like all these things have time and prioritizations, you know, on different things. And so like to me, and also I feel like because I've had such strong like habits and strategies since, you know, like 2019, 2020 when I kind of started
adapt.
I can, you know, go to the gym less, but I've learned enough to when I go to the gym to make it intentional and make it count. So, you know, I'm not going to the gym 6-7 days out of the week, you know, and I'm not hitting 10,000 steps every single day. But guess what? My body has still maintained the way it has the past like 5 years because of the fucking habits that I put in place.
I meant to bring this up earlier. I do want to give you a huge compliment on your content on Instagram, your gym content. I know it's funny. Like it is funny. It's entertaining to watch, but I really think it's good because you see all these fucking influencers or whatever doing this crazy movements that are obviously just like not what they're doing every day. It's a byproduct of the body they've built and they can blah, 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 blah. Right. But it's just good that you're calling out like the insanity of like, okay, what does it actually look like? The last one you did was like, I need to do a handstand with the dumbbell and I need to be able to fucking whatever. It's like, yeah, what does that actually look like?
That was so scary.
Because you're in good shape. You take care of yourself. You eat well. You train. All these things you just described. You've been describing. You're in good shape. And even you're fucking struggling to do you and your friend, I don't want to give her no credit. What's her name?
Sophia.
Okay, so you and Sophia are trying to do these fucking... It's taking 2 people to do some of these one person movements.
Dude.
And I think it's good to call those things out. Like, especially like there's that guy... a jacked fucking black dude that does like the morning routines.
Oh, no, I thought we were talking about a different one.
He does like the morning routines,
I know who
like
you're
the water,
talking about, yeah,
and he's
with the
super,
water bowl
yeah,
for,
he's
like,
super
ice.
chiseled, and he's like running all the time. Well, and that's what I love too about fucking that streamer, Ice Show Speed, where he showed up. Do you see that where he raced him? Mm-hmm. And he raced him like 3 times in a row. Dude fell halfway through one of them and he smoked him. And he's like, "You're fucking fake. You piece of shit. You fucking..." I love that shit. So good for you.
Oh, thanks. Well, I actually started those videos because a lot of my clients, I just do nutrition. I mean, I give goals around like exercise, gym, movement, all that stuff, but I don't make training plans.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I used to be a personal trainer and it wasn't for me. How
come?
I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm more passionate about nutrition.
Yeah, fair enough. Good for you. Yeah.
A lot of people think the gym's going to fix all their problems. And don't get me wrong, the gym can fix a lot of problems, but you can't outwork a shit diet.
You cannot outwork a shitty diet.
And so it kind of just seemed like working backwards and stuff. But, you know, a lot of my clients, they struggle with confidence. They struggle with the idea of going to the gym and like making a fool of themselves, trying something new or whatever. And, you know, granted, I'm a coach at the gym that I go to. So like it's, you know, I'm not intimidated to work out there because, you know, I coach them, whatever. Right. I've been doing this for years. So in a way to kind of help one of my clients who was like really struggling with like fear about going to the gym and making a fool of herself, I recorded one of those videos and sent it to her of like, "Hey, look, I'm trying something new." And I literally almost just like fell on my face. And it's okay. But then at the time when I recorded it and sent it to her, I was like, well, I am the only one in the gym right now because I have a key to the gym. So I caught myself strategically going, during off hours when people wouldn't be there. And I was like, well, that's kind of fucking hypocritical. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to put it on social media and be like, see, it's okay. We can make, we don't have to be perfect. And we don't have to be good at everything all the time. And then social media started like really liking those videos, and they're really fun for me to make and really humbling for me to make. So I was like, cool, let's run with it.
Yeah, I would never do half the shit that you're trying.
Sometimes the things people send me, I'm like, you just want me to fucking die. Like the people who send me stuff, I'm like, I thought we were friends and you just want me to die on social media. Like, what the fuck? I can't do this.
It's going to turn into Jackass.
Right, seriously. Well, actually, one of my friends, she's like, you should call it your Jackass series. So like, and you know how on Instagram you can like save folders? So every time someone sends me a video to try out, it just goes into my folder that's labeled Jackass series.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, good on you for putting that. It's funny, but it also just calls out the fucking nonsense that I see on social media. Like, it's absolute bullshit. Like, and because half of me is like, how many takes does this take for you to do anyway, A? And then B, what if you fuck up and snap your neck?
Yeah. That's definitely, there's been a few. I try and not do ones that will harm me or Sophia. Usually I'll let Sophia choose, because like I said, a lot of people send me.
Let her go first.
No, I let her choose what she wants to do, because I'm like, yeah, let's do, like, I'm a very overly confident person in my abilities, and I believe I can do anything.
Well, that's mostly positive.
Yeah. And then, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely do a backflip into a handstand thingamabob, and I've never done a backflip. And then I'm like, no, actually I can't. So like people will send me those videos all the time, and so I'll save them, and then when I go to the gym with her, I'm like, all right, you can pick what you want to do this week, and then we'll try it out. Because I'm over there, I'm like, we should do this, and she's like, I will literally die. Like, I'm gonna snap my neck, Matt. Why do you want that? And I'm like, okay, we can try something else.
That's funny. Well, and what you touched on a little bit earlier, I do want to talk about your new nonprofit that you're getting into, because you do love animals.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll let you describe it. What is, because it's you, your husband, and a couple of other people that are involved with you. Yeah, what have you been up to? 'Cause I like it. I do.
It's been a labor of love for a very long time. So I've always wanted to work with animals. You know, I wanted to be a vet. And then my aunt is a vet. And one time when I was really young, I was telling her, I was like, oh, I want to be a vet, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, you know, you got to like think about the net. Because I told her, she was like, why do you want to be a vet? And I was like, because I just get to hang out with animals all day long and I get to help them feel better. Like, that's fucking awesome. And she's like, well, you also got to remember, like, you will euthanize them and you won't be able to save them. And I was like, I have to kill dogs. I was like, and so honestly, that traumatized me. And I was just like as I aged,
How
never
old
got.
were you when you had that
probably
conversation?
like fucking like 6 or 7. I was young.
Good Lord.
Or 8. I don't know. I was young, and so I was
Your
like,
aunt was like realistic.
Oh, she's very real.
Puts down the martini. Listen, sweetheart.
you're gonna kill a lot of doggies. And so I was like, so that kind of ruined, like, granted, I could have been more mature as I aged and like actually looked into veterinary stuff more and been like, okay, like how many dogs would I actually be putting down and whatever. But I just didn't. And then I was like, oh, well, I really want to do like marine biology and work with like sea animals, but you know, we live in New Mexico.
You go down to the Rio Grande, see the crackheads. Does that count as marine life?
Go to the fucking Blue Hole or the Butte and find all the dead bodies.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, well, I'll look into like schools and like, because my mom's from California, so like all of my family lives out in California. So I was like,
Oh, what part?
like Brea area,
Cool.
like Orange Beach and Long Beach area.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So I was like, well, maybe I can go to college out in California. And then I looked at,
The prices.
and I was like, what the? I was like, that makes no fucking sense, because like I could basically go to school for free here, and you know, not put myself in a horrible financial situation or go to school there. So I essentially, it was like, whatever.
Good for you. You made the right decision.
Yeah, I made a logical decision. And then, yeah, I want to say like maybe 7 years ago, Garrett and I had kind of talked about like, you know, kind of jokingly like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to like have our own like dog sanctuary? We just like hang out with dogs all day and like care for dogs and help them find homes and stuff. And we're like, oh yeah, that'd be so cool. And but then that really kind of like stayed in my brain, like maybe he meant it as just like, oh, imagine, you know, what if. But in my head I was like, oh fuck, I want that. Well, that's what I meant to do. And then, you know, just with being in college, kind of got pushed to the side. And then when I graduated, you know, I got like deep into the research field, and you know, still kind of just stayed pushed aside. And then when I got into nutrition, you know, when Kelsey, the previous owner, offered me the business, one of the main reasons why I accepted Align was because I saw it as a way to catalyst that dream. Because I was like, okay, well, I don't know how to run a business. I've never been to business school. I don't know how to run a nonprofit. Like, I know nothing about anything legal in any sense of things. and so I was like, so I saw it as a way to like, one, learn how to run a business before getting other people and other people's like money and animals and things involved, because nonprofits can be really shady and
fuck yeah, they can.
And things. And so I didn't want to
shout out Minneapolis.
And so I was like, okay, well, cool. It'll be, you know, that's one way to kind of potentially catalyst this dream. It's going to teach me what I need to learn to feel more confident in not only running it, but also stepping into like that ownership position, because, you know, I'm a very non-serious person. And so even like sometimes being like an owner of a business is like weird to me. And so, you know, took over Align, and it's been great, and I'm still going to continue pursuing it and stuff. It's not like it's going anywhere, but I got to a place where, you know, I built a lot of systems in the business to help free up time, because when I took over Align, I was working like 60-hour weeks, and I was like, okay, there's no fucking way that I can also run a nonprofit, because this is too much. And so I spent kind of the last 2 years like really trying to figure out, okay, how can I still have the same impact for my clients, still make the same, and work less, so that I can start freeing up time to pursue other endeavors.
Yeah, trimming the fat.
Essentially. Yeah. And then this past year, you know, Gary and I the conversation came back up again about like starting, you know, a nonprofit for dogs, and, you know, kind of what that would look like. And we kind of spent this past year navigating like, okay, what would that look like? You know, what could we bring to the table that's different? Because New Mexico has a lot of, you know, dog rescues and nonprofits for animal welfare and all that stuff. And so it's like, okay, what could we add to this to help the systems that are already in place?
What are the bigger ones in New Mexico? Because
Animal Humane, Watermelon Ranch.
Never heard of it.
There's also the Kronos Foundation out in Tejeres? No, somewhere not in Albuquerque.
Okay, because what immediately comes to mind about what can you add, this is probably like the obvious like no shit kind of answer to it, but and I also don't spend a whole lot of time looking into these things, so maybe that's my own personal like bias or non-bias or whatever. I don't know any off the top of my head. Like I know that we have the Humane Society, but I mean that's
I'm surprised you never heard of Watermelon Ranch. Okay, they're out in Rio.
That would be probably the biggest one. Is just how do we get the word out more than these other people are.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're pursuing too. And like you said, maybe in my head, I think just because I've, you know, been kind of involved with like shelters and looking into, you know, all this stuff, in my mind, it like I think everybody just knows where the dog rescues are and like the shelters and stuff, because we also have 2 locations. The city of Albuquerque has their own animal shelter too, and they have an east side and west side location. But
those are government ran, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think.
Or like city ran.
Yeah, city ran. I think they're still nonprofits though.
Interesting.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that. And so, you know, we kind of spent this last year like really thinking about, okay, what can we add to this? Because, you know, I would like to believe that all the rescues in town are doing what they can to help dogs, but obviously something still is missing because we have so many dogs in shelters. Like the east side and west side city shelters are at full capacity. And unfortunately, those shelters are open admission, which essentially means that they cannot turn away any animal. They have to take any animal in. So then when they get to full capacity, they end up having to euthanize some animals. Which is really unfortunate and really not fucking fair to these animals. So, dude, get this. So, you know my pit bull, Harley?
Yeah.
The sweetest girl ever. So, Garrett found her on the streets.
Oh, my God.
And he had taken her to the vet to first see if she was chipped and stuff, and she wasn't chipped. So, then he took her to, I believe it was the East Side shelter. And he was like, yeah, you know, I've got like fucking 3 big dogs at home. I can't take her, like, can I just drop her off here? And they're like, yeah. They're like, but we're at full capacity. So like,
if we could take her, but if we have to, look who's gonna die.
Yeah, they told her, they were like, dude, honestly, if you can just foster her for a few days and try and find the owner, like she'd have a better chance than coming to us because they're just so overran. And
it's like treating expired food in the fridge.
Yeah, I mean that's a really horrible but accurate way to look at it.
I had no idea that was the policy.
Yeah, so they're the only Las Lunas has some open admission ones. And And granted, they are really trying to change that, to change, not having to euthanize dogs just because they're at capacity. But you think about it, if they can't turn away animals and they're full, what the fuck do you do with them? And we don't have enough foster support, and we don't have enough, other rescues to step in and take these dogs. So like with Animal Humane and Watermelon Ranch, they can turn away animals if they're full, which in one sense, is responsible, but then also fucking sucks. Like it's a shitty situation no matter what you look at it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we just have too many dogs in the state, in lots of states to, I lost my train of thought.
Well, there's a lot of dogs that are roaming. It sounds like. Well,
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that is. Cause I know I don't know a lot about it, but just the surface level knowledge that I do know about like breeding farms, people that breed dogs, it gets regulated different per state that you're in. Mm-hmm. I just wonder if we're more lax on those kind of things, so that you can just you can run puppy mills all you want.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I haven't looked into that. But yeah, so we were looking into, like what we can bring to the table, what we can do, how we can help. And so Garrett came up with this really good analogy, or at least I think it's a good analogy. So like, how Airbnb as a company, like doesn't technically own the properties. They just have a platform to help people who own the properties already get the properties booked. We essentially want to become like the Airbnb for dog adoptions and dog rescue and foster pairings, where we are the middleman, or we are the platform that help people get dogs out of shelter and get dogs into foster services and get dogs, just out of the shelters and into loving homes.
Interesting.
And so we want to do that through, community events. We want to do that through social media marketing. And then we want to help remove any financial barriers or burdens to adopt a dog, to treat dogs, or to foster dogs.
What are the financial burdens?
So right now, Animal Humane, at least last time I checked, they are giving, there isn't a fee to adopt dogs. But some shelters do have fees, where it can go upwards depending on if it's a puppy, if it's a senior dog, if it has medical needs, if it's a special breed. Like it can range upwards to like $300 to adopt a dog from a shelter.
Do you know if background checks are run on people getting dogs?
I don't know if it's background checks, but some shelters do require, I don't know if the shelters here in town require this, but some shelters do background checks. They do home inspections. Like a lot can go into.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, no, it is great. And I want to say that I believe, because I had gotten a dog from Watermelon Ranch a while ago. So some memories a little fuzzy. Like this was, over 16 years ago or something. And I believe we had to fill out forms and forms of paperwork, and our parents had to be there, and because me and my sister were trying to get a dog, and our parents had to be there, and they had to fill out forms as well. And so I'm not sure if they ran a background check on my parents because we were minors and stuff or what, but I just remember it was a lengthy process to get that dog, which is positive. How it should be.
Yeah.
And so like I said, kind of covering financial things. So, if you want to adopt a dog, but you can't afford the adoption fee, our foundation will cover it. That's what our donations that we accept go towards, is all the financial stuff to get dogs into homes. So if you, like I said, if you need help covering financial fees to adopt a dog, our foundation covers them for you. If, let's say, there's a dog that you want, or very shortly after getting the dog, they start experiencing some medical problems, and you're like, fuck, I can't afford these. I signed up for a dog, not a dog that's going to cost me $1,000
right
within the first month of getting it.
Well, and that's a real thing.
That can be why people return them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, lots of dogs get returned to shelters, which is so sad. And so we also want to help with vet bills. So if you do, adopt a dog, and then a week later they get some serious medical thing and you can't afford the vet services, and you're on the brink of returning them to the shelter, but that's meant to be your dog, you're going to be a good owner, we'd rather use our foundation to pay for the vet stuff for you, so that dog doesn't go back into the shelter and you can keep it. Or for foster care services, there's this one example that stays in my brain of a few months ago, a friend of mine had posted on social media that he found this so fucking cute pit bull named Bubbles on the streets. And she was chipped. She had a collar. He called the owners and was like, hey, I found Bubbles. Where should I bring her to? And they're like, oh, actually, we don't want her. We released her into the fucking wild. They just opened their door and was like, bye, Bubbles. Get the fuck out.
They were just they
just didn't want her anymore. So instead of taking her to a shelter, or maybe the shelters were full, they just fucking let her go. like just literally opened the door. I was like, all right, Bubbles, get out. And so they're like, yeah, we don't want her anymore. You can keep her. And he's like, what the fuck? He's like, well, I have a reactive dog. I can't keep her. Like, I'm leaving on vacation tomorrow. And so he was posting about it, and I was like, okay, we got to find Bubbles a home. Like, she's just the sweetest pitbull. And so I was reposting it on like my stories and stuff too. And I have another friend who reached out and was like, hey, my friend fosters dogs. Let me see if she can take Bubbles. And I was like, perfect, because we need this dog situated within like the next 20 hours. And that friend gets back and she's like, okay, no, she can't foster. Like she can't afford another foster. Like she currently has 2 right now. And so we want to provide financial support to foster care services too. So if someone is willing to foster, but they're just like, well, I can't afford the dog food and I can't afford the bed and I can't afford the crates or toys or whatever it is I want to get the dog, like our foundation will cover that for them. And we're also...
What's the name of the foundation?
It's called the Wiggly Butts Foundation. Well, so it was funny. So the executive board consists of, me, Garrett, Kelsey, the previous owner of Align. Because when Garrett and I were talking about it, we were like, okay, cool, we'll start a nonprofit. And then when we started learning about nonprofits, we were like, oh, we need 3 people to start a nonprofit. So we were thinking about like, okay, who is also just as passionate about dogs, who like we've worked with,
Right.
because with Kelsey being my boss in the past and stuff, and us working through transferring the business over, like we've obviously had some, disagreements on things and have worked through it. And we just work really well together on a professional basis. So we had reached out to her and, she agreed. And then we were in the process of getting everything filed. And we used my CPA for the business. We were like, hey, we're also starting a nonprofit. Can you file these things for us and we'll just pay you? He's like, yeah, of course. So we sent him the stuff, and then he called Garrett and he's like, hey, actually, like after reading the stuff, like I'm really passionate about this too. Like, is there any way that I can be a part of this and like come onto the executive board? And we're like, fuck yeah, dude. Like you're going to be treasurer, buddy. Like a CPA is treasurer. Oh my God, making this so much easier for us.
Right.
So it's us 4 that are running it right now. And so we were trying to come up with names and stuff. And honestly, we were like chat GPTing names and like just trying to figure out something. And like Kelsey and I really liked Pause for Purpose. But Garrett was like, dude, that's vanilla shit. He's like, I want something where we can have like fun marketing with it and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I get it. But like, I just can't fucking think of anything. And we need to get this bitch filed. Like, we need a name to file our things. Like, can't we just like do DBA later? Like, just get the nonprofit established, whatever. And then we were in our office. So a little side note too, like, did you see how back in December I remodeled like my home office? Yeah, that was so that we could work on the nonprofit together. Cause like our setup was like, it was our guest bedroom and then my office, and then like Garrett's desk was in the guest bedroom.
Yeah.
And so we moved the guest bedroom into my office and then combined our offices and made it into like a fun space where, cause the past few weeks we've been up to like 9-10 PM working on the nonprofit. Cause we do like our day things, and then we get home from our day things, and then we do our nonprofit things. And so we just wanted a space where it was like, we don't mind working late and we can do it together and collaborate. So we had a meeting in our office and we were just trying to figure out like, what the fuck are we gonna call ourselves? Cause I had already booked an event for us. Like I had already like started doing, and we weren't like, we were in the process of getting legal and filing and things. I was like, we just need a name. And like somehow during that meeting, just Wiggly Butts came out like as a joke. And then we were all like, no, wait, that's fucking great. Like, because when a dog is happy, you want their little wiggly butt, you want that little butt just shaking and tail wagging because they're happy and they're loved. And so we were like, okay, cool. Like we'll be the Wiggly Butt. We searched, like there's no Wiggly Butt Foundation in New Mexico. So we're like, sick, like let's go with it. And then we also thought like that could be really fun on marketing too. Like, hey, show us your butt, the Wiggly Butts Foundation, or like, I like your butt. Like our business cards say, show us your butt. And then on the back, it's got like all the actual information. And then like on our website, we're doing like Wiggly Butt Wednesdays where we feature a dog from a shelter. And it's like every Wednesday, it's just like information about like, the dog that we're featuring and trying to help get them adopted and stuff, and on our social media and things. But yeah, so our main thing to focus on is, like I said, just helping get dogs out of shelters, whether that's through financial assistance or through events, community events. Like I said, we've got an event on February 21st. Pack Your Max is opening up their Rio Rancho location, and so we'll be there with adoptable dogs for people to hopefully adopt. But if not, then the dogs get out. And
I know you came for food, but also
but doggies.
Responsibility.
But like want a dog.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome.
And so, and what's what's fun with this too is like, so another thing that we're implementing with this foundation, which I think helps kind of, set us apart. And also the thing with this nonprofit is I also want it to help Albuquerque, because as long as I live here, I don't want to be one of those like Burkeños that just shit on Albuquerque and then don't do anything about it to make it better. And so like when I think of community events, I think of like partnering with like local breweries or distilleries or stuff, and like, just throwing like these big fun parties where people like proceeds go to, our foundation, and dogs will be there. And, whether you adopt a dog or not, at least the dog's getting out of shelter. It's getting love. It's getting attention. It's getting, a little bit more enjoyment in its life. And then that way it's still, helping local businesses grow. It's bringing awareness to local businesses. And then Garrett came up with this really cool idea called Firehouse Foster Program, where, with him being in the fire department and with me coming from a fire family with my sister and my brother-in-law being in fire and, all this stuff, we were like, wouldn't it be really cool if we create a program throughout all the fire departments in New Mexico where we go through and we get, a list of people who are qualified to be fosters and willing to be fosters that are firefighters. And, they're on our website, and it's like you can donate directly to their foster care services, and, you can adopt a dog from this local firefighter. So it's kind of like a marketing thing, but also like, once again,
it builds community.
It builds community. Firefighters fucking love dogs. They kind of go hand in hand. And once again, it helps give back to both.
Is there any, well, first of all, I just want to get this out there, and you'll have to remind me, but there's a couple of businesses that just came to mind that I get you in contact with for sure. But is there any angle of this, I'm sure you've thought of it, but is there any angle of this where you could, because I don't even know what the process is, obviously, but like we have these foster dogs where you could turn them into like therapy dogs or whatever.
Oh, probably.
For like firefighters, cops, nurses, EMTs.
I'm sure.
That
yeah.
kind of thing.
I'm sure. I mean, I don't know like what the qualifications are to be a therapy dog.
Because my buddy had to like, he went through this whole fucking process with his dog and like getting the dog qualified to be a therapy dog and blah 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 blah, all that nonsense. What just came to mind with the firefighting part of it is like if your foundation could help streamline that process too.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's a really great idea, and I'm pretty sure it could, because I was talking with.
It's expensive too.
Yeah, and I mean I was talking with someone else too, where it's like they bring adoptable dogs to the hospitals for the employees, not necessarily in. I'm assuming not with the expectation that they're going to adopt a dog during shift, but like
in the operating room.
But just like as a way of, once again, because dogs are like. At least in my opinion, dogs can, relieve a lot of stress. There's actually a lot of science that like if you're sick or stressed or sad, that like cuddling with your dog can help your immune system. And it can help, with all these mental and emotional things like you were saying with like the therapy dogs and stuff. And so that's a really good idea to see too. Like, can our foundation, find dogs in shelters that could be
eligible for that,
and then also support the financial part of it too. Yeah. So people who need therapy dogs can get that. That's a really good idea. Jot that down.
Happy to help. But they're doing a little bit of it across the country, like sparingly. But I know that in Europe, it's a big thing in their prison systems, where I think they do it more. Now I'm thinking about, they're doing it more with cats, I think, but with dogs too, where they give eligible inmates access to a therapy pet.
Yeah.
And how it's helping the prison population. Like you're seeing a better, because again. So a lot of things talked about on this episode. A lot of things are business, and they're seeing a lot of like return on investment with their business, where it's like you're having a lot of these people get reformed in prison when they're out, and there's more sustainability when they get out.
Yeah, so, no, I mean that would be a good idea too.
Well, just to speak to your idea of spending time with the animal does help you on a biological level. So there's a lot to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so even if. I know it's a big goal, but I would love to get it to the point where, if in this year, fucking great. If it takes a little longer, okay. But I want, like, my end goal is to get it to where shelters aren't needed anymore, at least in New Mexico.
That'd be sick.
And like I said, and get more people qualified to be foster. So if anybody's watching this and they want to apply to be a foster, there's a link in our bio to apply.
And all your information will be in the description.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, but we're just Wiggly Butts Foundation across all platforms. And then our website's wigglybuttfoundation.org, where you can see all of our events about us. You can donate. You can see the Firehouse Foster Program.
So wait, it's Wiggly
Wiggly Butts.
Butts plural.
Yeah.
Okay.
Foundation.org. And it will be published tomorrow. So you're not going to see it.
But it's on. You're using Squarespace.
We are. Yeah. Oh, it shows you that? Let me see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're using Squarespace because that's what I have for my nutrition one is Squarespace. And we're also making really cool shirts. I mean, I might be biased. I think they're fucking cool. But like,
do you have the designs?
Not on me because we're partnering with, do you know Diego Weston? He's a firefighter. He's also a gym dude.
I don't think I do.
He's a really talented artist. He's done a lot of murals.
Diego
Weston. It's like Weston. There might be 2 S's. Might just be one. Oh. Well, he's like, so in the gym videos that
That's fine.
I'm so sorry. In the gym videos that I post where like that mural is behind?
Yeah,
He painted that.
I'm looking at his work.
So he's really talented. So we have, we've got a variety of shirts because that's one thing is we don't want to just take or accept people's...
Yeah, this guy?
Yeah. We don't want to just accept people's money without giving something in return. Whether that is,
I'll give him a follow. Very talented guy.
Whether that's, like they get something in return in the sense of... a shirt or a sticker or a dog or, whatever,
Or, the main thing.
or whatever it may be. But like we have some shirts that, just have like our logo on it. And then we have some shirts that are a little bit more like cheeky and it's like, show us your butt or I like your butt. Yeah, it was a play on words. Or I like your butt or, or like Garrett made a hat that literally just says butts.
Ass.
Yeah, ass. Show me your butthole. But then we're partnering with Diego for him to make us really cool designs because we didn't want just shirts that people buy because they're like, oh, it's charity and we're helping or like they come to volunteer. Like, I want them to fucking wear it. I want a dope ass.
Well, because at the end of the day, if you make good enough merch, you are turning people into billboards.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's kind of going back to that concept of like we want to also use our foundation to support local business, local artists, local people.
Right.
We're friends with Diego and stuff. We had a meeting with him last week where he, we kind of brainstormed. Well, he did most of the brainstorming. We just told him kind of like, this is what we're doing. This is what we want, because he's an artist. And so he's making us like a really cool shirt design. And I'm really excited to see it. Nice. Based off of what he told us, it sounds like it's going to be fucking sick. And so like we'll have that, and so just creating because like we kind of talked about, some nonprofits can be a little sketchy, a little
shout out to Somalia,
a little not doing what they say
not
they're doing,
forthright with their funds.
Exactly, and we want to be super transparent with where money goes to, things like that and stuff. And so we essentially want to have a way where it's like, okay, if someone donates, we're going to send them pictures of like, hey, this is a dog you helped get adopted, or this is a dog you helped with vet care, or this is the foster you supported, or, whatever it may be.
That's good. No, it should be like hey, you donated $200. Guess what? The dog kept its liver.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
And all right. Hey, they didn't have to get because of this, because I'd imagine that there are so many cases where dogs end up getting put down because the medical, like they have like a medical thing, it's too high. Let's say the dog is over 8, 9, 10 years old, and it's like, well, they're towards the end of their life anyway. They weigh that out, and unfortunately, a lot of owners make the decision to put the dog down. But no, now because of this collective donation, like you gave 50, you gave 100, you gave 500. Now this dog got whatever operation, took the burden off of this family. Maybe the family had to spend, instead of $1,500, they spent only $250. Now because of this communal thing, dog gets to live.
Family stays happy.
Look
Kid
at that
doesn't
wiggly
get
butt.
depressed. Yeah, look at that wiggly butt. And on the unfortunate side, like if a dog does have to be euthanized, we also want to help, pay for that too, because nothing fucking sucks more than putting your dog down, and then you go to check out, and the vet's like, okay, that's like $2,000,
which is
like,
not to be dark, but I could have done that.
Yeah.
And not paid $2,000. And guess what? It probably would have been quicker. I could have
probably more painful. I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
but yeah. So
that's insane. Two grand.
So
is that
it's
a real
not
number?
always. So when we had to put down our dog Wiley, it was really expensive. I don't remember exactly why, but I remember so Wiley was like Garrett's soul dog. you know? And so when we had to put him down, like, I was just like, you know what? You should not have to pay for this. I was like, you know, I was a student. I didn't make a lot of money. I was like, just fucking put on my credit card. Like, it's fine. I'll figure it out later. But like, the last thing an owner should do is have to pay for their dog. I think, yeah, like to have to pay for their dog to be put down, to have to pay for, you know, to get, if you want to cremate the dog's ashes or you want any like memorial trinkets or fucking anything like that. Like, and I get why the vets have to charge for it, unfortunately, but it's just, so we wanted to
It's just
create
the practice of it. Like, if there's any, the government fucking bails out so many private companies. Maybe put aside a couple mil for the country.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, if they're not going to do
so
that, then we'll
crazy.
step up and do that. And,
Yeah,
you know,
that's so
and
crazy.
hopefully, like I said, just remove financial burdens, financial barriers, just help dogs stay with their owners. Cause like you said, I've seen that in real time. Like when I've been at the vet with, you know, my dog or something, like someone can't afford to fix whatever's wrong with their animal, whether it's a cat, a dog, fucking whatever they brought in, and they're putting it down. And we're literally just sitting in the waiting room watching, like, you know, the kids come in to say their goodbyes and just the family leave just distraught and so sad. And it's like, if only there was a way to fix that. And so we created that way to fix that. And so that's kind of like our main focus. You know, maybe in the future, years down the road, we might still do that sanctuary idea, but at least for right now, like I essentially, because doing the sanctuary and like having a place where we can take dogs and stuff would be great. But then at the end of the day, it still doesn't fix the problem of there's too many dogs in shelters to begin with.
Right.
So how do we get the dogs out of shelters? Just moving them from one place to the other doesn't fix the problem. You know?
and if this is a very lofty goal, I'm gonna preface that, and this is also just because my brain goes to politics a lot. You know, I'm sure you guys have have ideas for how you're going to scale this thing, like you said, to like make it to there's no more shelters or whatever the scaling looks like years down the road. But play your cards right and this takes off the way it should, you could potentially go to Santa Fe and lobby with the state government to find a way to interject pet insurance into more jobs.
Yeah.
Because right now, as far as I understand it, I don't even think state or city jobs have the option for pet insurance. I think it's just like the bigger corporations that have the money to allocate for it.
Yeah, like we pay out of pocket for our pet insurance.
Right. Or you could get it privately, but
Yeah.
it's absolutely fucking crazy expensive for what I've heard. So
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like as pet insurance has become more of a normalized thing and not like a you're insuring your pets type of.
But I'll be perfectly honest. When I first heard of it, I was like, you got fucking insurance for that dog? But then you think about it for longer than 30 seconds. It's like, oh, yeah, that could actually be really helpful.
Yeah. Like with Harley, when we had her, we waited too late for insurance. And, one day a mass popped up on her body. I thought it was just like a cyst. I took her to the vet, assuming it would just be like a standard incision and drainage. And then the vet came out and she's like, oh yeah, no, she has cancer and that's a tumor. And I was like, what? And then unfortunately her cancer, she still has it to this day. But we spent, I think like 3 years paying to get tumors removed frequently. Cause she has a type of skin cancer that causes mast cell tumors. So they're easily developed,
right,
formed. And the issue with mast cell tumors, I mean, thankfully on one bright side, they have a low, I think it's called a low mitotic rate. I don't know. That might not be correct, but basically it means that like the rate at which the cancer cells move and multiply are kind of slow. So like chances of it metastasizing to organs, slimmer. But the issue with her cancer cell is since it's a inflammatory based response, if you remove the tumor but you don't remove a wide enough of a margin to ensure all the cancer cells are removed, it's just going to redevelop in that same spot.
Interesting.
And so Harley's had, I think, maybe 12 to 13 tumors removed. And we essentially drew the line at it when the vets were like, she has a tumor on her paw that doesn't, make it hard to walk or run. I mean, it bothers her because she looks at it and stuff, but we took her to the vet to see, if we could get that removed. And she's like, yeah, well, we could remove it, but to make it worth the while to ensure it doesn't come back, we'd have to remove the whole paw or like the whole paw pad, like the whole toe area. And I was like, dude, no. Or like there's one on her ear one time and they're like, yeah, we'll have to like cut her ear. And I was like, all right, like she has a really big one on her elbow and I'm scared that if we go to to see that one, there's gonna be like, you fucking. So essentially, when it came to the part of like taking body parts from her, we're like, okay, we're not gonna do this anymore. And also, she's 10, so at this point, we're like, let's just focus on quality of life for her. And
Right.
I mean, she has a good quality of life. They don't really, like I said, they don't really irritate her. I mean, the pot one, she'll look at it occasionally and stuff, but most of them,
It's
they
not
don't
obviously
really.
causing pain.
Yeah, the only thing that we have to look out for with, obviously leaving them on her body and not removing them is them spreading to organs. So we
Right.
get her, pretty, like, I think it's like every 6 months we get her checkups
And
and stuff.
do you feel like pet insurance is helping out with that a lot?
Well, no, because cancer, we got her insurance after she got cancer.
Oh, fuck.
So,
Right, you said that.
yeah.
Right.
And then
Shit.
I think she also tore her ACL. Dude, that was horrible. It was so the recover. I never want to fucking go through that again because with her breed, so there's different ways that you can like replace the ACL in a dog or what's equivalent. It's called like an MCL or something.
Right. Yeah.
Like if it's a small dog, you can use fishing wire to essentially like make like they remove the ACL and they make like a makeshift ACL. So like my childhood dog was like this little white, scrawny little mutt dog that we got from like a shelter. And he tore his ACL too, but because he was like fucking 15 pounds and like senile, he was so old when it happened. They were like, yeah, a fishing wire will be great because his activity level is low. He doesn't weigh a lot. Like it can hold. And we're like, okay, dope. With Harley being a 60-pound pit bull, and at the time when she tore her ACL, she was young. She was active. I mean, she still is active. Actually, she's more active now than she was when she tore it, thanks to our puppy. But she, because of her activity level, her breed, her weight,
Right.
they were like, yeah, fishing wire is not going to work. Yeah. And then there's like another one where you could put like some type of like stopper in there, or the one that we ended up going with was called the, I don't know if I can remember the name of it, but basically they like broke her leg and put her knee in a fixed position and then she has like 6 giant metal screws in her leg to keep it so that it can function like a knee again.
Wow.
And it was, I mean, we went to TLC, and it was great. The surgeon did awesome. But it was like I want to say it was like a 16 to 18 week recovery.
Damn.
And like the first month, dude, she wasn't allowed to put any weight on it. So bathrooms, they gave us like this little sling that you put around it and you have to like lift off her weight of that leg. And so she's like just fucking like tripoding around, and then she can't run, she can't jump, she can't like fucking do anything.
How do you prevent that?
Well, thankfully I was working from home already at this point, so I just literally kept her corralled with me. And thankfully the dog that we had, our German Shepherd Wiley, he was older than her. He wasn't like, he didn't really want to play and stuff. So it wasn't too bad in that sense. But like the first night, or actually first month, actually, I think that I'm going to out myself as how big of a dog person I am right now. But the first month of her recovery, we had moved the guest bed mattress into the living room because at our old house when you were there, like how the living room could like close off. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah. Well, like our living room like was like our house was super old, and so like the living room could literally, it had doors to like just isolate it from everything. And so she loves, being on the couch, so she would always jump up on the couch. So what we did to kind of navigate this, keep an eye on her, monitor her, is we brought the mattress from the guest bedroom into the living room. And I just slept and lived in the living room for like the full first month of her recovery. So that one, she had someone to sleep with and like monitor her. And also she had to get meds like around the clock. So I'd like set alarms to like wake up and like give her meds and stuff. And then so that way the bed was high enough to where she could like just walk onto the couch if she wanted to get onto the couch and not have to jump.
Right.
And then that way we could also keep Wiley away from her, because with her stitches, she obviously had to wear a little cone. We got her like one of those like blow up ones that's a little comfier. But Wiley would try and like lick her stitches to be like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And so we had to keep them separated.
Right.
And so, yeah, so like the whole first month I just like existed in our living room because, it didn't make sense for Garrett to take work off when I work from home,
Right.
So I was just like, I would work from my little like makeshift bed fort in my living room and just keep an eye on her all the time. And dude, that was such a horrible recovery process. I hope she never tears her other one.
Fuck. Well, I mean, between that and your other dog eating fucking
God.
stones. Yeah.
And getting his face all fucked up. And yeah, dude, that dog's had. So we're also stupid. We didn't fucking learn our lesson with Harley. And we were like, oh, we will get pet insurance for Chorizo. And then that little shithead. Well, this one's not really his fault, but he got, a foxtail stuck in his face.
Yeah.
And he had like, I think it was 4 face surgeries. So mind you, he's like 6 months maybe. And so this delayed, like, he wasn't able to get his puppy shots because he can't get vaccines when he was on antibiotics because he had to be on antibiotics for like his whole fucking like 3 months straight, which probably messed up a lot of things in him. But he had to be on like antibiotics. He was on steroids for a little bit because they kept cutting open his face to try and find the foreign object and they couldn't find it. And so my theory is like foxtails burrow. And so I think the first time we took him to the vet, it was misdiagnosed as an allergic reaction. And so I think it got time for it to burrow deep and like skin to essentially scab over it. Right. So when they were cutting it open, I mean, they were trying to be conservative on the face cuts anyways and not like fucking fillet his whole face open.
Yeah.
And so I just think that it was just unfortunate situation where it burrowed, in a way where they couldn't find it. Time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, dude, like for like 3.5 months, we kept going back and forth with the vet of like cutting his face open, putting him under to do it, antibiotics, all this stuff. Cause like I was scared it was going to infect like his mouth, his brain, his eye. There's one point where when it was literally like fucking this size that like it was pushing on his eye so much.
I remember that.
I thought like I woke up one morning, I was like, fuck, is he blind? I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so, yeah, it fucked up, like, his ability to get his puppy shots, which then, like, messed up kind of, like, some of his socialization. Like, we were that, like, cringy dog people where to get him out and to make sure he got socialized and didn't get, like, reactivity problems or anything, my sister had one of those, like, fucking baby Bjorn holder things. So we would take, because he couldn't go outside on the floors and, like, things like that. And so we would literally like fucking strap him in and like take him to breweries and be like, please talk to our dog. Like, please we need him to be socialized. Cause I already have 1 reactive dog. I'm not going to have 2. I'm not going to have 2. I was like, I can't deal with 2 reactive dogs that don't have like social
cues,
intelligence.
Right. Yeah.
And then, so it also like delayed like his training and stuff and all, dude, it was a fucking mess. And then, got it all figured out finally. And I was like, wow, you're under 8 months and you've had like 4 major face surgeries. Cool. And then we were like, okay, we should look into insurance for him. And then for some reason we just like didn't follow through with it. I don't know. It's probably one of those things where like, oh yeah, we'll get to it. And it just honestly wasn't high enough of a priority because we were like, well, we're out of the weeds with this. Like, what else can he do? And then that fucking little shithead ate a rock. I think he ate 2 rocks and threw up one of them. Because I remember like he was throwing up at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I've trained him to throw up in the toilet. And by train, I say train loosely because the problem was when he was sick, like when he was on antibiotics, it was messing his tummy up so much that from where our bed is in our new home to the backyard, there's no way we were getting him to the backyard in time to throw up. And we have carpet in our house right now. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm taking you to the bathroom and I'm holding you over the toilet and you're throwing up like a little drunk sorority girl in the toilet.
like a cannon.
Yeah, seriously, I'm just holding it. And so he started learning to like literally, I shit you not, he like started learning to like brace on the toilet with his little paws. And he started learning to go to the bathroom door to like throw up when he was, because the antibiotics were just fucking with his stomachs and stuff. And so, he was throwing up in the morning. And so it was like 4 a.m. I'm like half asleep. I'm like holding him over the toilet. I'm just like, dude, just fucking get it out. And Garrett wakes up and he's like watching too. And like some black mass like came out. And I was just like, Garrett's like, what is that? I was like, I don't fucking know. I flushed the toilet. Because mind you, I'm like half asleep. I'm annoyed because he's been like throwing up a lot. And yeah, so that happened. And I was like, I don't know, dude. Flushed it. And then he threw up, no exaggeration. By 11 a.m., he had thrown up 15 times. And so
How is that possible?
I don't even know, dude. We literally spent, it was thankfully, good and bad that it was a Saturday because I didn't have to work and I literally just like hung out with him in the bathroom. I have like pictures of him like curled around the toilet like a drunk little sorority girl just like passed out. Because yeah, we were just like, I was like, well, fuck, like he's throwing up so frequently, like it doesn't make sense to go anywhere else in the house because he's just gonna get vomit on furniture or his crate or Harley or I don't know, wherever. I wouldn't be surprised if he threw up on Harley. So I was like, all right, we'll just move like his dog bed into the bathroom and I'll just hang out in here with you and just lift you up every time you have to throw up. And so I had called the vet in the morning when he didn't eat his breakfast because he's so food motivated makes my life so easy. I want him to do something, I just give him food, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. But he's such a food guy, so when he didn't eat his breakfast, I was like, okay, this is concerning.
Right.
And so then I tried making like chicken and rice just to see, because I was like, obviously something has upset his tummy, so like maybe chicken and rice, something bland, will be helpful. So I was like cooking that, and I called the vet, and I was like, hey, like, should I like come in? Like, is this, he's thrown up X amount of times, like he's not really drinking water, he's not eating his food, like I know it's a weekend, but like, what do I do, guys? Like, can I come in? Do you have appointments available? Whatever. And they're like, well, no, we're fully booked, and we close early today with it being a Saturday. And so she just gave me like some advice. She's like, yeah, I think it's good you're trying the chicken and rice. She's all, if he doesn't eat that and his vomit, like he continues vomiting and he continues not drinking water and he starts acting different, like definitely take him to the emergency vet. And I was like, okay. Didn't eat any of the chicken and rice. And by time that I decided to take him to the vet, he had thrown up, I think, like 21 times. Because it was weird, because like he, after like the 15th, 16th throw up, it kind of stopped. Like he would like kind of get a little bit better, and then it would start again. But it was like long periods of time. Like he'd go a few hours being fine, and I was like, okay, cool. Like he threw up whatever, he got a lot of his system, he maybe just got a little puppy flu or whatever. And then he started throwing up again and again, and like the consistency of it started getting like concerning looking. So I was like, okay, I'm going to the vet. We had to take him to fucking emergency vet, not in Albuquerque, because like we have like 2 emergency vets that are 24. No, we have 1 emergency vet that's 24/7. And it's off of Central. It's like Roadrunner or it's Route 66. I don't know. Maybe it's either Roadrunner or Route 66. They're both emergency vets, but one's 24-hour and one is the one that we went to that's not in Albuquerque. And they were like, yeah, well, our doctors are in an emergency case and they're not taking anyone else for the rest of the night because we're just, like
Packed.
we only have 1 doctor staffing the emergency vet. And I was like, okay, sick. So then we took him to VCA because they were open until like 10 p.m. or something. And the guy did vitals and stuff. And he's all, honestly, I think he's got some type of obstruction. I was like, okay. I was like, well, I've never had a dog with an obstruction before. Like, you're well versed in the vet world. Like, if this was your dog, would you drive out an hour to wherever the fuck we went that was outside of Albuquerque? I was like, or would you just wait till the morning? He was like, well, some of his vitals are starting to, get a little worrisome, but they're not necessarily a red flag. He kind of like gave us that very like PC answer where it's like, I can't really give you medical advice because if I'm wrong, you could sue me. And if I'm, whatever. So it's kind of like, I don't know, like whatever. And so we were just going to go home and monitor him until the morning. But then he just started like, I don't know, dude, something in my gut was like, no, we should take him. We should drive out. So we drove out to that emergency vet, and then, yeah, they scanned him, and dude, I shit you not, like the rock was that big. I still have it. They gave it to us. Along with the foxtail. They also gave us a foxtail because it was the biggest foxtail the vet had ever pulled out of a dog before. And I was like, of course it was, with this little fucking shithead that I love so much. So it's on our shelf. It's on a bookshelf.
Trophy.
It's not. Well, we have a little we have a bookshelf, and like the top shelf is like a little shrine to Wiley, and so we just kind of like put it with the other dog things. But yeah, dude. And so then they're like, okay, well, we're gonna keep him overnight, and we're gonna like keep him to IVs and see if we can just flush it out without having to do surgery, because it's a very fucking invasive surgery where they have to cut open his intestine. And like a lot can go wrong. And I was like, okay, sick. And so we call in the morning, like, yeah, the rock did not budge at all. Like the fluids did not help. We need to cut him open. So we're going to do that. And I was like, okay. And I go to pick him up, and I'm thinking in my head for some reason, like it was like a laparoscopic surgery. Like, they just kind of do a little insertion and, zap it, or I don't fucking know. I don't know what, but I was expecting like maybe like 2 or 3 stitches. I go he's so cute. He comes out, he's all, high and sedated or not sedated, but like coming off sedation. Yeah. And I'm like walking him out, and you could tell he's just so happy to like see me and be out of that place. And I had my mom come with me because Garrett was working, and I needed her to like hang out. I just didn't know like what the extent of what happened was. So I was like, can you just like sit in the back with him and like just fucking keep an eye on him while I drive us home? So she came with me, and I'm like trying to figure out like how to pick him up because like he just had tummy surgery to get him into my truck. And I'm like, I go to like put my hand under his belly, and I'm like, what the fuck? And my mom's like, what? I was like, do you have a mirror or something? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay. I was like, I got my phone out, turned the camera on. I look under his belly. Dude, he had like 13 or 14 stitches. Literally the whole length of his torso was cut open so that they could get his intestines, and then his intestines were stitched together too. And I was just like, oh, like this was like a serious surgery. And they were telling us too that like, you know, the first 24 hours is like super high risk for the internal stitches to like open
Burst.
up and like cause, you know, like
internal bleeding.
yeah,
And
death.
Yeah.
And so I was like, fuck, I was like so nervous, like moving him or doing anything. And, you know, obviously he turned out okay, but dude, and that was all before he turned a year. And I was just like, dude, what the fuck is your problem? And so then we were like, when we moved into this house, we were originally going to like replace the carpet flooring with like hardwood floors first and stuff, and then work on the backyard. Cause our backyard just had like this little like square concrete slab, and then it was all rock. And then Tradisa started trying to fucking kill himself outside. So we were like, all right, change of plans, change of priorities.
we're
Let's
doing
remodel
it.
the backyard first,
Yeah.
and not do floors. And yeah, but we love him, and when I told Garrett when this was going on, because like we had spent so much, and he wasn't insured during this time either. We had spent so much money on his surgeries and stuff that I was just telling Garrett, I was like, you know what? The best way to look at it is that we're in a position where we can mentally, emotionally, and financially do this for him. Because
Yeah.
some families, like we were talking about earlier, maybe after the first face surgery, when he'd have to have another, been like, you know what? No, just put him down. Like, we can't keep paying for these
Yeah.
things. Or I even made a post about this because he has a TikTok. I even made a post about, well, okay, he has a TikTok for educational purposes because people think corgis like can't exercise. And he's so fast, dude. He can run a mile in 7 minutes. I timed him. But like, so I made a more of a TikTok to like show like how corgis like are actually, you know, not supposed to be overweight, and they are really active, and they like to run, and you know how to run safely with them and whatever. But I had made a video that was like, there was a trend going around that was like, how much did I cost, mom, or whatever? And then it's like, you know, usually like vet bills or whatever. And, you know, I put how much, and thankfully we live in New Mexico where these vet bills were in, you know, relativity lower than other states.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the correct word.
Yeah,
but
relatively lower. Yeah.
yeah. And this one woman commented, and she was like, oh my gosh, she's like, I would never spend that much money on my dog. I would just put him down. And it's crazy because there are, you know, people out there that think that way too, but it's, you know, we felt really fortunate that we could, you know, cover all of his bills and it not like break us or whatever. I mean, was it nice or convenient? No. But you know, and so then and that was when we were at the vet actually waiting to see, you know, if he was going to be hospitalized for the night. That's when that family came in that I was telling you about earlier that was like, yeah, we can't afford, it was a cat. They're like, we can't afford what the cat needs to, you know, be healed, so let's just put her down. And then watching, you know, the kids come in, some other family member brought the kids in, and, you know, just watching that, I was just like, dude, like something needs to be changed about this. Like some type of resource needs to be there. That's not, you know, a fucking credit card. Because they were like, oh, well, you can open up a credit card for the vet thing. And I was like, get fucked. I don't want to open up a credit card right now. You know, or like, or you could do insurance. I'm like, but will insurance pay for this vet bill right now? And they're like, yeah, probably not. And I was like, see, we need something to help when things like this happen, when families, you know, do have like their dog gets hurt or injured or something sick, and, you know, they want to keep that family member with them, but it's just, they may not be able to like financially do it.
Well, I was going to say, like, the entire time you were telling that story, it was just like, well, you know, as time carries on and your nonprofit scales, it'll be able to take that financial burden off of people that, unfortunately, I mean, what you went through with both of them were extreme scenarios. But yeah, by the fucking second or third trip to the vet where it's racking up dollar signs, like, hey, man, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. This is already breaking our back, and now we got to give it out. What are we fucking doing here? Because you went to 2 hospitals in one night. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So fun. So, you know, if you want to help with that, donate to the Wiggly Butts Foundation.
No, for real. No, I love the idea, and I love what you guys are starting out to do. And I think it's gonna be fucking great. Truly, like, good for you guys.
I appreciate that. I agree with you. You know, like, like I know. So when we were coming up with names, we were throwing some around. And we were like, what if we just call ourselves the greatest fucking dog rescue to ever exist? But it is like, dude, I want that. Like, I want it to be the greatest dog rescue. I want it to be the one that has the most positive outcomes and like positive.
Yeah.
And like it may be like, you know, when you're doing something, you can like feel it in your gut or your bones that like
Yeah.
this is gonna work and it's gonna be good and it's what like you're kind of meant to do and stuff.
Yeah.
That's 100% how I feel about this.
I don't. Yeah, because I mean, I'm not a big like spirituality or a universe guy, but I think there is something to when you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing. When things start working out and things are kind of falling into place, and it's like I mean, obviously a lot of it for me is like I believe a lot of it is God, but like even still. I think a lot of it's like, and I think I forget who said it. I forgot like what podcast I was listening to, but there's a really good quote where, somebody said that God rewards people that work hard, and God rewards people that are falling in line with the purpose that they're here for. And I think there's something to that. I think God or the universe or whatever anybody wants to believe in, I think you get rewarded when you're doing just generalize it when you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And-
impacts everything. So if
Yeah.
you have, I'm a big believer that if you have a positive impact on, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, that you do get rewarded, whether
Yeah.
that's more positivity coming out of it, a bigger impact, or,
Yeah.
you know, whatever it may be. So
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So yeah, good for you guys. I'm very happy for you. Well,
We're very excited.
listen, this has been great. Thank you for coming back and doing this.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate this. You're always fun. You're very fun to talk to. You're very knowledgeable about what you talk about, and you're just a good time. So, one more time before we get out of here, where can everyone support? Like, we'll find you in general, but support your, your nutrition and I don't know how to describe it. Like just you as a person. How can they support you with your business, and then where can they start to support your nonprofit? And by the time this goes up, everything will be up and running on your end. So where can they support you?
Yeah. I mean, right now with us being brand new with the Wiggly Butts, just following on social media, helping get more exposure to what we're doing so more people can be in contact with us, whether that's shelters, businesses, people that need help or, people that want to foster. So like I said, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, we're Wiggly Butts Foundation. On TikTok, we're _Wiggly Butts. And then, our website's thewigglybuttsfoundation.org, where you can buy t-shirts, you can donate, all that stuff. And then on the nutrition side of things, I'm Nat Coaches on Instagram. And that's really only place I'm at. Or you can go to linewellnessnutrition.com.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks
This
for
has been
having
a
me.
fucking blast. You're awesome. Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.